Ngezikoko is in Barberton.
A former illegal miner told EWN how he and others were let in under the cover of darkness by security personnel who knew the tunnels well. He says for a small cash payment, guards would show them the safest shafts to descend, map out underground pathways and point out hidden trails used to get food and water to those working deep below.
Come here several times because I will do the connection security guys here. You can't stop us from illegally mining.
Community members say this alleged collusion is why illegal mining has thrived for years and why it won't end with arrests alone. Responding during a briefing outside the mine, Sheba Mine said that claims are being taken seriously and investigations are underway.
Investigations are ongoing. There's been a major bust. It's been for a week. It's going to carry on for the next few months at least until we uncover leads that we are developing at the moment.
Mungi Zikoko, Eyewitness News, Barberton.
Gauteng police say they have recovered a rifle and 2 pistols from 4 men who were killed in a shootout with police in Randfontein in the West Rand today. The men were gunned down while police tried to intercept them in the west of the province, according to officials. The gang was on its way to rob a businessman who was about to bank his money. Gauteng Deputy Police Commissioner Fred Gekana says investigations are underway.
We managed to recover a rifle. We managed to recover 2 pistols for now. There might be more firearms or any other illegal substances. We're waiting for our forensics. They are currently busy on scene. Maybe there might be more arms or any other thing which we'll report later on.
We shift our focus to this now. Opposition parties have voiced their unhappiness at having an ANC member elected as the chairperson of Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating allegations of police corruption. The ANC's Soviet Lekganyane was elected unopposed to lead the ad hoc committee during its first meeting today. The committee is probing allegations made by KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Babalondenze has more.
Soviet Lekganyane was confirmed as the chairperson to lead the 18-member multi-party committee that will investigate several allegations of police malfeasance and political interference. But Action SA MP Dereline James says while they note Lekganyane's election, it would have been more fitting to elect someone from a party whose members are not implicated, in reference to suspended Police Minister Senzo Mchunu.
But how do we garner public trust here this morning when we have a chairperson that has been elected from the very party where most of these people are embroiled in?
But Lekganyane defended his nomination, saying he represents the country's interests.
I was not sworn here through the law of the ANC. There is only one law which we used to swear in members of parliament. That is the Republic, the law of the Republic of South Africa.
Parties will now make submissions on the committee's terms of reference, which must be finalized before close of business on Friday. Babalondenze, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Let's stay in Parliament. The House is set to restart the process to appoint 5 new commissioners to the Commission for Gender Equality as soon as next month. It follows a damning Constitutional Court ruling that set aside the 2023 appointments due to inadequate public participation, challenged by non-government agency Corruption Watch. Chairperson of the Committee on Women, Liesl van der Merwe, says the committee has already moved to rectify the shortcomings identified by the court. Lindsay Dentlinger reports.
Last week, the country's highest court suspended for a year the validity of 5 CGE appointments, including the chair and deputy chairperson made during the previous administration. Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities, Liesl van der Merwe, envisions advertising for new nominations by October.
We will then thereafter publish the shortlisted candidates, possibly over the December into January period, allowing for a 6-week participation process.
Van der Merwe says shortcomings identified by the court, including publishing adequate information about hopeful candidates, were remedied during the recent recruitment for the National Youth Development Agency.
As a portfolio committee, we are truly committed to meaningful public participation.
The affected CGE commissioners have served less than 2.5 years of their 5-year term, but will not be excluded from reapplying for their jobs. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
And China is experiencing an alarming outbreak of a mosquito-borne virus known as chikungunya. Since last month, more than 7,000 cases of the virus have been reported across the country. On Sunday, Hong Kong reported its first case, a 12-year-old boy who had traveled to the city of Tshwane and later developed a fever, a rash, as well as joint pain. While outbreaks are rare in the country, the spread has triggered concern from authorities as well as government officials. Chikungunya was first identified in Tanzania in 1952 and has since spread to over 110 countries, including continents, including Africa, Southeast Asia, and the Pacific region. Gold is trading at $3,353.32 an ounce. The rand is at 18.05 to the dollar, 23.96 to the pound, 20.82 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $68.76 a barrel.
Well, at this stage, if you're in the Mill Park area heading towards Braamfontein, there's slow-moving traffic. That's on Empire Road between Berry Herzog and the M1. Also in the Blackheath area, that's in Randburg, there's slow-moving traffic. This is on Beyers Naudé between Judges and the N1.
In your sport, Calvin LeJohn says his ownership of Suwelele FC is purely a passion project. Thomas Partey granted conditional bail on rape charges. And Dave Parecki becomes the latest Wallaby to announce his retirement.
It's a fine afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 21 and 23 degrees. The top story in EWN. Community members near the Sheba gold mine in Mpumalanga say the crackdown on illegal mining will fail as long as security guards continue to open the gates for a fee.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Very good afternoon, everyone. It is 8 minutes past 3 on Tuesday, the 5th of August. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Wherever you are listening to us in 702 land, welcome to the show. Illegal mining continues to be in the spotlight in Barberton, revealing so much about how Zamazamas go about their work. More on that in a moment with EWN reporter Mongezi Koko. Some other things on the go. Many of you may be dedicated followers and consumers of fast fashion, but there are growing concerns about the ecological consequences of this global trend. At 10 to 5, we'll look at the issues with Phumi Korba, who believes we can both look good and do good. Swimmer Peter Coetzee has come back from the World Championships with a fistful of medals, 2 silvers and 1 gold from the pool in Singapore. But what was he like at the start of his career? How did his first significant coach realize that, boy, yes, indeed, here was a talent? At 20 past 5, we'll talk to the man who coached him at the age of 13. Khalid Railoon is my guest for that. And do you remember this wonderful moment from way back? So it looks perfectly innocuous. A woman is riding a bicycle on a rugby field with acres of space. What could possibly go wrong?
My release.
Do you remember that? I watched it over and over again, and there were so many funny things done about it. May beep Marlies. I hope that beep was convincing enough. Now, here's the thing. Many, many years later, because it is many years later, a film has been made. A serious one about the mother and daughter behind the May Beep Marlies viral video. Screenwriter Brett Michael Innes talks to us at 10 minutes to 4. I'm really looking forward to that. The film, by the way, has been made and is out, and I think will be on general release sometime in the second week of August, but we'll get all those details a little bit later. We've got all that and a whole lot more on 702 Drive, including breaking news from the roads in our regular traffic updates, and the latest from the markets, starting with this. The All Share is up today by around 290 points. Good gains for Thungela, up by 3.9%. MTN better by 2.75. Good day for Anglo Gold, up 2.6. The gold bull run continues and goes and goes. And Pick n Pay has gained 2.5%. Not so good today, though, for Telkom, down by 7.6%. Steep fall. I'm sure we'll get an explanation on that a little bit later. Nedbank also down sharply, weaker by 5.6%. The rand is trading at 18 rand and 2 cents against the dollar, pretty much where it was 24 hours ago. A euro, much the same as yesterday, 20 rand and 79 cents. Will get you just one. And the rand is currently trading at 23 rand and 93 cents against the pound. Another fall in the price of Brent crude today on a day when our petrol prices go down, but diesel goes up. Brent crude down by 42 cents and currently trading at $68.17 a barrel. Stephen Curtis joining us with all the details at 4:25. We'll have sport with Tola Kele Mganga. Mbali Dlamini has the latest news headlines. Karabo Charlie is giving us the very latest from the roads. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live, and if it's happening in 702 land, you'll hear about it here first. But we do, of course, love to get your help. If you've seen something that we haven't seen, if we've missed something that you have not missed, contact us on 072 702 1702 or give us a ring on 011 883 0702. It's 13 minutes past 3.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
So, as always, lots to talk about, lots to inquire about, lots to think about, and when it does come to thoughts, some of the most interesting ones are often rather random. We were chatting a little bit earlier today about shopping and supermarkets, and then the conversation turned to strange things that you might have seen in a supermarket or strange things you might have heard about from somebody else who saw them in a supermarket. And of course, if you work in a supermarket, maybe you're a store manager, maybe you are someone working on shelf packing or working on a particular section, making sure that everything runs smoothly. Maybe you work as a cashier. Tell us your stories, please, of some of the stranger things that customers have done while you've been there. Jonathan Fairbairn, Kabazela, off yesterday, but welcome back today. What have you seen that's been odd in a supermarket?
Afternoon, John, and afternoon to the 702 families. I've seen one or two things. The worst was probably a person walking with their trolley, not really watching where they're going, and then rammed the trolley into one of the display stacks.
Oh, the special ones.
Yeah, that they'll put sometimes in the front there, and that was a bit chaotic. Luckily, no glass. Just some cardboard boxes and soft packaging that fell. So there wasn't like anything, that caused serious damage. And then, a couple of these people who will prey on your sympathy and your empathy about, please help me with this, help me with that, and this and this. And then you do help them. And then you walk around the shop a bit more and they're doing the same thing to somebody else.
Yes.
So those are two things that have come to mind for me.
Karabo Charlie, how about you? And by the way, you can include anything strange you've done in a supermarket. We won't identify you.
Things that I thought you can't do, but I just saw somebody doing it, is maybe opening you know how shopping can be tedious, long lines, and you're hungry or thirsty. And then you grab that can of Coke and just open it.
I hate that.
And drink it. And then, while you're doing your shopping, you quenching your thirst. If you want some chips, open the chips. And then when you get there, when you pay the empty pack, do you do that?
No.
Okay.
But I have seen it many times.
Is it legal? Yeah. I don't know if it's even legal. As long as you pay for it, I guess.
I would think it's probably not encouraged, but as you say, as long as you pay.
Yes.
Have you ever seen anybody arrive, take one of the plastic buckets that they sell, get some soap powder, do their socks while somebody else is doing the shopping? No, I haven't either. I'm just saying, let's stretch this concept of consuming while you're actually shopping. I mean, who knows where it could go?
And then the other one, this just happens to me randomly. I live in Soweto, right? And the shopping in Soweto and the shopping in Sandton totally different because in Soweto, when you leave the shop, they ask for the till slip, the receipt, the
Yes.
security guard there, you know. So I'm at that. I've got that habit of when I leave, I just show the security guard the receipt, or you know what, and then I do it in Sandton as well. The security's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, by the way, I'm in Sandton, not in Soweto."
So they're checking the items versus the receipt.
Yes.
Oh, that happens
Every
at builders.
Every shop.
Yes.
Every shop in
That happens
Soweto.
to
Definitely
builders,
happens
yeah.
at Macro.
And Macro. Yeah, it does, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, but interesting. Very interesting indeed. So please do give us a call. Strange things you've seen in a supermarket, strange things you might have done in a supermarket. And as I always say, if you actually work in those spaces, you get a lot more observation time than we do. But crucially, you have some insights into what this all says about the state of the place where you work. So please do call us on 011 883 0702 072 702 1702. It's 17 minutes past 3. Let's get the latest traffic news.
Well, John, at this stage, if you are in the Lenasia area, there's slow-moving traffic. This is on Navon Drive between the R554 and Main Road. That's Klipspruit Valley. There's also slow-moving traffic in the Protea Glen area on the N12 westbound. That's approaching the R558 in Brakpan. Expect some delays on Heidelberg Road approaching the N17. Also slow-moving traffic. This is through the Kempton Park area heading towards Tembisa on the R21 northbound between Atlas Road and the R23 Benoni off-ramp. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in Randburg at Malibongwe Drive and Mahogany. If you come across any other traffic issues, please SMS us on 31702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. Let's get ourselves down to Barberton. Well, we were about to get ourselves down to Barberton to chat to Mongezi Koko, who is observing those court proceedings. We'll get him online as soon as we possibly can. It's 18 minutes past 3. Coming up a little bit later in the show, maybe you've got some insights into this. There is a substantial decline in breastfeeding in South Africa. What's going on here? I should say in exclusive breastfeeding. We'll find out a little bit later about that, but we'll be talking then to Dr. Chantel Witten, who is Health Systems Director at Ilifa Labantwana. If you've got some thoughts on that as well, 072 702 1702. Right, let's go now to Mongezi Koko, who's in Barberton. I nearly said Braamfontein, where the Magistrates Court has been processing another group of people, part of a larger group of 480 people arrested in a major illegal mining crackdown in that part of Mpumalanga. Mongezi, a very good afternoon to you. What's come up in the court today?
Good afternoon, Dr. John. Well, it's been a pretty slow start to the day in terms of the court part of the story. But what we did see were a number of developments. As you would remember that last week, Friday, around about 494 illegal miners were arrested and subsequently made their first court appearance on Monday. This is where they appeared at the Barberton Magistrates Court on a litany of charges, including trespassing, the possession of mining equipment and gold-bearing equipment, and also the contravention of the Immigration Act. We then saw 24 other illegal miners resurface yesterday, and this morning we saw a further 28 resurface. Now, just to bring the listener up to speed, those 24 that resurfaced yesterday have been processed and are due at the Barberton Magistrates Court tomorrow, in addition to the 28 that appeared this morning, who are also currently still undergoing processing with the South African Police Service before they will also join that cohort in making their appearance tomorrow. That aside, in Tatijan, we've finally heard back from the Sheba Gold Mine represented by Pan African Resources, who then gave us a broader picture of the challenges faced by the Sheba Mine in terms of illegal mining. They painted a very bleak picture when it comes to the hindering that illegal mining causes. Now, this comes in a number of facets, in that, including unemployment, and also it's the mine's capability of still funding the community at large, this through initiatives like building schools, clinics rather, and other facilities, and also keeping a majority of the community surrounding the gold mines, of course, keeping them employed. So a harrowing picture really painted by the local management, by the management of the mine. But in Tshwane, we then delved deeper to try and ascertain if indeed there are more people underground. Speaking to the community, we hear of very large estimates in the thousands. And when we speak to the mine, on the other hand, they don't have a confirmed number, but they do confirm that there are still illegal miners underground. Now, a further development that we've seen during the day is the cutting off of trade routes, or rather routes that bring in water and food. And we also saw the mine saying that it's working closely with the SAPS to ensure that they then can bolster their initiatives of trying to drive these illegal miners out of the ground.
It really is a complex situation. Any sense of what's going to happen to these miners? Because when we spoke to Pan African Resources yesterday, Mongezi, you got the sense that the main thing that sticks by way of a charge is the immigration offence. I got the impression that they feel this is simply a case of recycling. People get deported, people are back within a couple of days.
Well, Tshwane, we can link it to a similar story or a similar situation, which also occurred in Mpumalanga. You'd remember that EWN extensively covered the 95 Libyans who were found at what was then dubbed a military training camp, where we saw a majority of them facing a similar charge of contravening the Immigration Act. Now, the repercussions for this sometimes prove easier to then institute deportation, but this involves then having South Africa speak to wherever the illegal miners are coming from or the undocumented persons to try and facilitate that then deportation process. But what we've seen so far in the courts is a different approach, where we only saw 26 of the 494 who appeared before the court being granted 2,000 rand bail. But these 26 were then South Africans who had addresses that could be verifiable. Now, the matter against a large part of them has been postponed to next week, Monday and Tuesday, where we'll then see really how it's going to pan out. But a litany of challenges in Tshwane. For instance, a lawyer can only represent a certain number of people who are, of course, appearing before the court. And given the fact that this is nearly 500 people, it's really a complex matter.
Thank you so much. Mongezi Koko out in Barberton. If you live in that area, or perhaps you're involved in some way in mining in that part of South Africa, drop us a line, give us your perspective. The number to use, 072 702 1702. Just want to remind you that we are live streaming on YouTube. We started doing this yesterday, and we're going to be doing this continuously. Just go to YouTube, type in John Perlman 702 live afternoon. That will definitely get you connected to us. And if you've got some comments to add, maybe you want to just use that as your way of posting on the issues of the day. Maybe you've got some style tips for myself and the rest of the team. Very, very welcome indeed. But it's great that you can see us and hear us. Walk the talk and watch the talk as well. A lot of fun. We're enjoying it. We hope you will as well. It's 25 minutes past 3.
John Perlman
on 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
A very, very troubling story being reported on IOL, possibly on other platforms as well. Simon Majadi Bodu published this recently. It's a story that Gauteng police have discovered the fourth body of a woman found burned at the Watlu train station. This is in Silvertondale in Pretoria. 3 burned bodies, according to police spokesperson Brigadier Brenda Muridili, according to her, 3 burned bodies have been found before that between Waldloo and Denneboom train stations between June and July 2025. The question then starts arising, is this a pattern? And of course the phrase a serial killer comes to mind. But we wanted to better understand at what point do police start considering this? What are the telltale signs? And to talk about this, we're joined now by Dr. Giada Del Fabro, who is a forensic psychologist. Dr. Del Fabro, welcome and thanks very much for your time. Obviously, we as the media would want to be very careful before we use that phrase, serial killer. What are the things that experts and professionals like yourself and the police would be looking for before coming to that conclusion, however tentative?
Hi, John. Thanks for having me on your show. So look, I mean, they haven't formally declared this as a serial killer, the police, so they're still investigating. But some of the factors that, might, say, support this notion, others that may challenge it, I mean, what you might find is pattern and proximity. So really what you'd want to look at is a consistent pattern. So here, 4 bodies have been found in a very specific confined geographical area, between the Waterloo and Dennerbourne train stations. The victims are all women, and their bodies are found under similar horrific circumstances, which they burnt. So that could point to a single perpetrator or a highly organized group. Then you look at the method of disposal. The burning of the bodies is quite significant. It's often done to destroy evidence, such as fingerprints or DNA, or to make the identification of the victim more difficult. So you've got a consistent method, so that might lean towards a serial killer. And timeline, I mean, the murders have occurred over a relatively short period. And the frequency of the killings might also support the idea that this is a continuous pattern. The police have formed task teams, so with a number of, so they've got detectives, crime intelligence. So they normally do this when they themselves see a potential link. So, those are all factors that you consider in deciding whether it's, looks like a serial killer or not. But the challenge would be things like you don't know about the motive. You don't know whether the victims knew each other. You don't know if this is, because identifying a serial killer is often a psychological or behavioral pattern that's beyond just the crime itself. So you'd want to know more details on the victim's backgrounds or the circumstances leading up to their deaths. And you need that to kind of definitively confirm a connection.
It really is quite challenging because on the one hand, there's physical evidence, as you point out. There are some empirical facts that point to a pattern. But as you try to get, some kind of purchase on the perpetrator or perpetrators and motive, what kind of conversations are you having perhaps with yourself and colleagues? I mean, in the absence of physical evidence, how do you start making sense of who the person is and why they're doing it?
So, I think you'd want more, because, they can do forensic investigations on sort of the cause of death, and you'd want to know if this was the cause, if it's post-mortem, and then you'd want to know more about the killer's method. Also in terms of, is it the group? Is it a single individual? Because then the motivations and dynamics are very different from sort of a lone serial killer. And you look at the method. It's not unique to serial killers. It's the method that a lot of criminals use to dispose of evidence. So, there is the possibility that these are 3 separate instances where they've used the same technique. Although, I would say the probability of that is probably leaning towards slim compared to the fact that it is more a group or an individual. So you'd want to look at that. Obviously trying to understand, get some sort of victim identification, which may be difficult in these circumstances. So that would help you see if there's some sort of link. Ideally, you'd want to know if they're witnesses, if people saw someone around. Because, your information's basically going to come from talking to the community around this. Because as it stands, like you said, the victims being burnt, it makes it very difficult to sort of go on physical evidence. Although, look, they're probably tearing through that area and sort of exploring and investigating if there are any other forms of evidence that could be linked to these crimes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Giada Del Fabro, forensic psychologist, joining us here on 702 Drive. We asked you about strange things you have witnessed in supermarkets. Please keep those coming to us on 072 702 1702. Uncle Mujalifa, send me this on X. Follow me there, by the way, at John Perlman, at Radio 702 for a more general view of what's going on the station. But Uncle Mujalifa says, I'm definitely with Karabo on the Soweto versus Sandton shopping rules. In addition, some strange things I've seen at supermarkets has to be people using hand lotion and putting it back on the shelves. He says, I'm just guilty of eating and paying for an empty packet of sweets. Presumably you ate them first. I hope so. It's 29 minutes to 4. Right, let's get the very latest eyewitness news with Mbali Dlamini, starting off with a rather important court case involving two politicians. Mbali.
That's correct, John. A very good afternoon. The Gauteng High Court says while Kenny Kunene's cockroach comments directed to Julius Malema amount to hate speech, they do not meet the threshold for criminal sanctions. On the 17th of November in 2021, Kunene called the EFF leader a cockroach 4 times during a televised interview. Today, a High Court judge dismissed Kunene's appeal of an Equality Court judgment which ruled that his words amounted to hate speech. Tabiso Koba reports.
In the initial judgment, the Equality Court ruled that Kenny Kunene calling Julius Malema a cockroach, little frog, and criminal amounted to hate speech. However, the Gauteng High Court says only the word cockroach fits the description of hate speech, while the other 2 phrases can be ascribed to heated political rhetoric. During a recent interview on Politricking with T.D. Madia, Malema says the political arena cannot be used for harmful comments.
Don't become personal. If you become personal, I will sue you. I don't play games. I will sue you the following day. And effectively, I sued Kenny Kunene. When he called me a cockroach, I won.
Kunene has been ordered to issue an oral and written apology to Malema. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
Let's stay in the courts. It was a brief court appearance for 5 men accused of stealing a transformer worth 7 million rand. 4 of the accused are Tshwane municipal officials. They're facing charges of theft in connection with the disappearance of the transformer from a power station in Laudium. Jabulile Mbata has more.
Today, the matter was heard in the regional court in Atteridgeville before Magistrate Alan Cohen. The media was denied permission to broadcast proceedings. The state told the court that it still needs to obtain information from a car tracker to include as part of its evidence. The case was postponed to next month. The municipal workers will remain on bail while the man, believed to be the potential buyer, plans to relaunch his bail application after his first attempt failed. Jabulile Mbata, Eyewitness News, Atteridgeville Magistrates Court.
And in the Western Cape, the BT Football Academy has expressed regret over how a children's football trip to Spain ended. The young football players were left stranded in Portugal after return tickets were not purchased. Public donations saw the group fly home just late last month. Kaylin Pretorius has more.
The Academy has reached out to parents on a one-way messaging WhatsApp group. In the communication, BT Academy's Brandon Timmy invited parents to a closed meeting to discuss the challenges that occurred during the trip. Meetings will be held in the northern and southern suburbs tomorrow and Thursday to accommodate all the families. In a statement, Timmy expressed his deepest regrets for how the trip played out. Virgil Martin, a parent of one of the junior footballers, says he won't be attending the meetings.
I think the one thing that we would want is our money, firstly, and then second of all, for justice to take its course, because so often things like this happens with no outcome or no consequence on the perpetrators. An apology, I don't think, will be the most important.
Some parents have taken legal action, saying they paid 55,000 each for the trip. Kaylin Pretorius, Eyewitness News.
In your weather, it's a fine afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 21 and 23 degrees.
Protea Lane, bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on the N12 westbound from the R554 Abu Bakr Drive all the way to the R558. Also in Brakpan, slow-moving traffic on Heidelberg Road approaching the N17 and driving through the Joburg CBD. Traffic sluggish already on the M1 southbound from Killarney Baines all the way to the Crown Interchange.
The top story in EWN, the Gauteng High Court says while Kenny Kunene's cockroach comments directed at Julius Malema amount to hate speech, they do not meet the threshold for criminal sanctions.
Before the president has his national dialogue,
the people will have theirs.
This Wednesday, join Clement Maniatela for the People's Dialogue
on 702.
The questions won't be scripted, the truths won't be polished,
but the voices will be heard.
Dear Mr. President,
lend us your ears.
Because before policies, there are people.
And before power, there is accountability.
The People's Dialogue with Clement Maniatela.
You've watched, you've waited.
Now you speak.
To the country, to the president,
to each other.
Wednesday, 6 August.
From 9 to 12, only on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Don't miss out on the Powerball jackpot, estimated at a mind-blowing 124 million rand this Tuesday. Today, dare to dream big by playing Powerball now for the estimated 124 million rand jackpot and your chance at multi-millions. Buy your tickets now, in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529 hash for USSD. Panda Pusher Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Itube is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Ah, choices. We love them. Like a Jator dealer asking you, so which one do you like? And you're like, do you like the bold, stylish, head-turning dashing from 4,999 per month? Or the adventurous 7-seater X70 Plus from 5,199 per month? Both. Because yes, choices. Book your test drive at jator.coza and make an excellent choice either way. T's and C's apply. Jator. Drive your future.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comments, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za. Evenings at 6.
The full impact of the Trump tariffs of 30% for most of our goods to the US still sinking in. Our government giving a fuller reaction, essentially saying they'll keep trying to negotiate, they try and support firms that are about to lose a huge amount of business.
There should be a crisis committee that is actually put in place. Let's adapt the template that we have from NICOB, from NLCC to deal with these trade challenges.
Abusasiwe Mavuso was the CEO at Business Leadership South Africa.
The Money Show
on 702.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA CIB. ABSA is a proud lead sponsor of B20 South Africa 2025. ABSA is a registered FSP. Your story matters. 702. Let's walk the talk.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John Andrea from Pretoria. I just get the sense that we're asking the wrong questions, and in fact we're going after the wrong people. These miners that are going down, they are not the big fish, they are not the head. I think one needs to trace the money and trace the flow of money and trace the flow of gold, and go to your gold exchanges. Don't we have intelligence in this country that the hawks can start going after people that pawn gold? These guys that use second-hand gold, that flush it and then they recycle it and they make it new. SARS should get involved, because this is costing it's costing SARS billions of rands. I just think we're going after the wrong people, and these syndicates love it, whilst we're keeping ourselves busy with small fries.
Wow, what have I seen while working on the store floor? Okay, I used to be
a sales representative on the store floor, and I overheard a conversation once between a customer and the cashier. Well, customer wanted to buy a ticket, a cruise ticket for him and a female companion. We'll call this person Pamela, right? So he buys the ticket under the name Mike and Pamela. While he's there, he receives a call from his wife. I could tell it was his wife because of the way he was addressing her. I'm coming back now. I'm just going to go pick up the kids. Let's say his wife's name was Maria. The look that he gave the cashier after having that conversation was a look to say, hey, it is what it is. Masungulo here in Protector.
Yeah, the things people see working on shop floors. Supermarkets, what have you seen? Ruby saw this. I saw a woman shopping with a whole bunch of children. One of the older children took a shaker of aromat off the shelf, shook it out on a younger child's tongue, put the shaker back on the shelf, and off they all went. I'd love to know, Ruby, what did the younger kid go, delicious, or was this some kind of prank? I'm not sure I'd like a shaker full of aromat on my tongue, but that's me. 702 Drive, keep calling us with those stories, please. It's 18 minutes to 4, and do join us on our YouTube feed. Type in to the YouTube search engine, John Perlman, 702 Live Afternoon. That will get you to us, and post your comments there about anything you've heard, or if you like, anything you've seen. Let's get the latest sport.
EWN Sport.
A new Betway Premiership season underway. We've got some newcomers, Tolakele.
Absolutely, John. And the countdown to the new season has begun, and Tshwane FC will be the unknown entity in the top flight. That's after their owner, Calvin Lee John, purchased the status of SuperSport United in a move that signals the return of football to the Free State. And with the deal now ratified, they'll kick off their campaign against Lamontville Golden Arrows on Saturday.
It's purely a passion project. We need to reinvest in the Free State. It's our CSI as a family. We grew up in Bloemfontein, and if we're being honest as a nation, the Free State itself is on a downward spiral. So it's not even political for me. People are saying that, no, this is political. It's not. We want to contribute towards helping the Premier of the Free State, towards helping the Mayor of Bloemfontein. This is purely giving back home, and that's it for us.
Former Arsenal midfielder Thomas Partey has been granted conditional bail after appearing in court on 5 charges of rape and sexual assault. In a hearing that lasted less than 15 minutes, Partey was not asked to plea, but to only confirm if he understood the charges and the conditions of his bail. His case has now been transferred to a Crown Court for trial and is due to appear on the 2nd of September. Over to the Currie Cup, where the Bulls will be looking to continue their unbeaten start to the campaign when they take on the Pumas on Saturday. Having won 2 from 2, assistant coach Kennedy Zimba has warned against overconfidence against the 2022 champions.
The biggest challenge would probably be, getting complacent. And I think I would know, having been in the similar shoes where you're playing such enjoyable rugby and, you're having such a good time and, just not being over complacent because you start feeling that everything will have to work because it has been working. So I suppose it's a bit about that.
And Australia hooker Dave Perlman has retired from professional rugby only weeks after reviving his Test career. He battled injuries in recent seasons but made his first Wallabies appearance under coach Joe Schmidt against Fiji last month. That's after nearly 2 years out of international action. Tolagile Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
16 minutes to 4 on 702 Drive. Let's get the latest traffic news now with Karabo Chale. Protea Glen, we've had problems there earlier this week, I think.
We've been having problems for the last couple of weeks, John, but this afternoon those delays are pretty unusual, already heavily backed up. That's Protea Glen, N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. It's not yet clear what's causing this delay. If you're in and around the area or you're on that route, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic. Driving through the Joburg CBD, also bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on the M1 southbound from Killarney Bends all the way to the Crown Interchange, Bryanston There's slow-moving traffic. N1 southbound between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive. In Ekurhuleni in Brakpan, there's slow-moving traffic. Heidelberg Road, that's approaching the N17. And finally, if you are leaving Tembisa heading towards Kempton Park or Tambo International Airport, there's some delays on the R21 southbound. That's between the R25 Popsfontein off-ramp and Pomona Road. Like I said, if you come across any other traffic issues, you can also SMS us on 31702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive still to come. We're going to talk about the screenwriter involved in the film about Marlies. Now, many of you will remember a video that went viral, Marlies cycling around a rugby field. Nowhere to go that could possibly pose danger until she actually managed to cycle into a rugby post. And then her mother, we'll play it again for you, in a most, not right now, an inimitable and unforgettable way, gave a 3-word response that, let's just say, went viral for a while. That in just a moment. But before that, Tolakele, we're talking about strange things that you might have seen in a place of business, in a supermarket, people doing odd things. What comes to mind for you?
I've seen kids while their parents are in another aisle saying, okay, I'll come to you. Open up the Barbie or the wherever the toys are, play with the toy, and then like maybe their parent calls them, they put the toy back. And then I just like, I'm done. And I'm just like, so is no one going to pay for this toy?
Well, I suppose you can't call a Barbie a consumable. I mean, it might be something that, declines, particularly if kids keep taking out the same Barbie. So my story of a strange thing in a supermarket, it was absolutely wonderful. The place is Acorn Hook. People will know it quite well. Go up the R40 if you're heading for the open gate of the Kruger National Park. There are lots of growing number of supermarkets in the area. So while I'm in there doing my shopping, there are a school bus pulls up, and the kids, I ask them where they're going. They're going to visit the Bergslag potholes, which are nearby. The kids go in groups, and in little groups, they kind of form buying little stokvels. So Karabo gets biscuits, I get a liter of Coke or whatever it is. So the kid in front of me in the queue, and the queues are long now because this is a bus full of children. The kid in front of me puts his purchases down, and the cashier says to him, short to rand. So the little boy looks at her, and then he bends down, he takes off his shoe, he takes off his sock, and he takes out just the oldest and dirtiest 5 rand note you have ever seen in your life, and he plonks it down next to the cashier. And she looks at this 5 rand note, and she's weighing this up. And then she decides, she obviously doesn't keep tweezers or tongs or anything. She just decides, I'm not putting this in my till. I want nothing to do. So then she says to the kid, go through. And I said to her, do you think that this 5 rand note is in the state it's in? Because this boy has been pulling this move for a good many years now. Anyway, it was a fabulous little scene. We all laughed about it. And off the kid went, the cashier still short 2 rand, but was very, very pleased not to have to handle this kind of currency. So we'll come to that conversation about the movie in just a moment. Your stories, please, of funny things happening in supermarkets, 11 minutes to 4.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
As things stands now, Mayor, out of 10, how do you rate the improvement now in service delivery?
In terms of issue, and I don't want to exaggerate this, I can say that we are now sitting at 4. And then in terms of waste collection, that's where our challenge is. We can give ourselves 1. In terms of roads, I can give the municipality 2 to 3%.
So in a nutshell, yes, there is improvement, but there's still a general failure at the end of the day.
You know, Clement, for you to improve first, you need to start from the beginning. And the beginning is where we are saying that we do acknowledge these failures and we don't want to hide them.
Sipho Khadebe, who's the executive mayor of Mfuleni local municipality.
Clement Manyatela.
9 to 12 on 702.
Corporates That Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates That Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9, featuring Transnet. Their CEO, Advocate Michelle Phillips, will be in conversation with Bongani Bingwa. And join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and make a difference together.
At the heart of global conversations shaping our future, Africa's voice is more important than ever. As proud lead sponsor of the B20, the Standard Bank Group is honored to showcase the continent's growth, partnerships, and potential on the world stage. Because driving Africa's growth isn't just our ambition, it's our purpose. Tune in every Monday from 3 p.m. for the Standard Bank B20 in brief for key insights and updates around the B20. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
The Johannesburg Philharmonic Orchestra's early spring season features a stellar lineup of international and local talent. Enjoy favorites by Mozart, Beethoven, and Tchaikovsky. Concerts run at the Linda Auditorium on Thursday evenings from 7 to 28 August. Book at Quicket. Visit jpo.co.za for more info.
Looking for real ways to live greener? Then don't miss Green Tip of the Week, your weekly dose of sustainable inspiration. From eco-entrepreneurs to climate champions, we sit down with the people making real change. Catch Green Tip of the Week every Tuesday on Afternoon Drive with me, John Perlman, between 3 and 6, only on 702. Proudly brought to you by Volvo. It's safe to be brave with Volvo.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Right, let's talk about a new movie that has already made its debut at CakeNet's annual film festival, and it's going to be on general release cinemas nationwide in South Africa and Namibia starting on the 26th of August. But before we get into the conversation we're about to have, let me just refresh your memory as to what prompted the making of this film. So here we have a young woman, tentatively I think it's fair to say, learning to ride a bicycle on a huge rugby field. What could possibly go wrong?
My release.
So what went wrong, prompting a 3-word phrase that really spread all over the country and never ceased to amuse me, even though it's 6 years on, was the mother of the daughter crashing her bicycle into a rugby goalpost. And it's almost like a slow motion accident in a movie, because you think, no, she couldn't possibly, no, she's and then well, I'll leave it to the mother to express what happened. But it's a movie now, and to talk about it, which I think is just a fabulous thing, that it's being made, is screenwriter for the film May Beep, Marelise Brett Michael Innes. Lovely to have you on 702 Drive. Thanks for giving us your time.
It's great to be with you. Thank you for having me.
So Brett, I mean, this is obviously not a film about a bicycle ride epically as it did go wrong, but it's a story of real substance about a relationship between a mother and a daughter. Before we talk about how you got into the making of the film and the pulling out of threads that are not immediately obvious from the 17-second clip that I've just shared, what is this story? Give us the plot in a nutshell, if you will.
You basically have a young woman in her matric year. It's firstly set in Namibia. That's where it took place. And she's trying to figure out what to do with her life. So she wants to go on a gap year to the Netherlands. And in order to do that, you have to be able to ride a bike if you want to be an au pair. And she can't ride a bike at all. And worse than that, she's actually very accident prone and has to learn one. That's why she was actually being filmed on the rugby field. At the same time, you have her mother, who is going through a breast cancer diagnosis and trying to figure out how to handle this while also be the matriarch of the family, and what results in just a story of mothers, daughters, fathers, sisters coming together to, I think the messaging of the film, which is in the trailer, says that life is all about being knocked down and getting right back up again. And riding into a rugby pole pretty much does that, eh?
Well, I think it absolutely would. I mean, obviously, somebody at some point must have said, did somebody say there's a film that we could make out of this? Or did somebody say, I wonder what happened to Marlies and her mother? We should find out more about them. Give us some of the genesis.
Well, you're speaking to the guy who thought just that.
Great.
I'm a huge fan of the video. I think it became a cultural touch point, not just in Afrikaans, but in South Africa in general. It's a phrase that has inspired songs and branding and just craziness. And I just remember watching it. It came up on my timeline a few years back, and I was like, I wonder what the story is. And I found the real Marlies on Facebook, slid into her DMs and said, hey, I've made a few movies. I'm not a stalker, but I would love to actually chat to you and just hear what was happening in your life. And I instinctively knew the story, if there was one, would either be the story of how their lives were impacted by the viral video. They were propelled into a new level of spotlight.
Yes.
Or it would be the story of everything that led up to that video. And as soon as she told me, first, the reason why she was being recorded, and then that their family was going through a cancer journey, I was like, well, there's the story right there. It's so obvious. And it's crazy to think that this 15-second video has inspired a heartfelt family movie. I think the funny thing with this title, which has become one of the hardest things to market around, even though the branding is so strong, is that we can't say that special word in the middle of it. But that is actually the only time there is a curse word in the film. It is really one that the whole family can go together to watch, have a good laugh, and actually feel moved.
So where are they both now? I mean, the mom obviously battling a serious health challenge. Did she survive? And if so, is she reasonably well? And where's Marlies apart from attending film premieres?
I mean, the beauty of the story is it really has, I wouldn't say a happy ending because it hasn't ended yet, but it really, where our journey has taken us and where we stand today is that this family really is going strong. Her cancer went into remission. She went skydiving, which was a dream to do. She's really just one of these practical Buritanis who's like, no, you can't faff around me when I have cancer. You've got your lives to live. Let's not make a big thing about it. So all of the family have been very involved in the creation of the story. So many of the one-liners that ended up in the screenplay and in the film were things that they actually say to each other. The two sisters have such a unique relationship with each other. They are each other's best friends. And when it came time to actually getting our director involved, Zandri Kotza, this is her people. So as soon as we knew this film was happening, I was like, I mean, I direct films, but I kind of instinctively also knew that this wasn't my story to tell.
Right.
And I reached out to Zandri. We've been wanting to work together for a long time. And I said, lady, you ready to make your directing debut? And she knocked it out the park.
Yeah, she did not ride into a pole because that's already been done. What a wonderful, wonderful story. I look forward to seeing the film, and we really do appreciate your time, Brett, and congratulations. Following your instinct, I guess that is what you guys do in your profession, but boy, have you come up with something special here. Brett Michael Innes, screen director for the film May. You know the middle bit. Marlies, coming out in August. If you've already seen it, by the way, there was a Cake Net Festival. Drop me a note and tell me what you think. 072-702-1702. And I think the characterization that this really was a special moment, even though it took place in Namibia, but just a wonderful South African moment. I have been known to use that expression when my cat knocks something off a table, but later for that. 702 Drive, it's 1 minute to 4.
Bongani Bingwa. 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
South Africa is scrambling now to find alternative measures and markets following the failure of negotiations on those tariffs imposed by US President. But how do you deal with a capricious interlocutor like Donald Trump?
What's important to recognize is they are a very big market and an important market for us. And we probably need to concretely address one or two of the policy issues.
Seems to me we've given them a lot of information they just don't want to hear. Dr. Stavros Nicolaou.
Ngani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Some mornings call for more than just a meal. They need a proper brunch. The spot with the perfect eggs, bottomless coffee, and that effortless Sunday vibe. Maybe it's where you catch up with friends or just reset for the week ahead. If you've got a brunch place that feels like home, now's your chance to say, I see you. Nominate them as Gauteng's greatest brunch spot at primemediaplus.com, because Gauteng isn't just the hub of business, it's the home of excellence, and excellence deserves your applause. Gauteng's greatest awards with 702, powered by Yoko. Let Yoko counter fuel your business to greatness. Go to yoko.com to explore the new point of sale solution, saving hundreds of businesses time and money.
Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for pharmacies, convenience stores, beauty salons, and more. Corne?
Business Outsurance is definitely the best insurance for my business. Bowled out every other insurance house. Honestly, looking at what you need, my installment came down within a day. Definitely the most professional.
Switch to Business Outsurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Visit outsurance.co.za. Switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
This is EWN.
The Police Ad Hoc Committee wants to focus on ordinary South Africans, and Stellenbosch University conducts contact tracing following a meningitis-related death. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Chairperson of Parliament's Ad Hoc Committee investigating police corruption, Soviet Lekganyane, says MPs should put South Africans first and not play politics. Lekganyane was elected to lead the 18-member Ad Hoc Committee, which is probing allegations made by KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, which implicate politicians, police leadership as well as prosecutors. The committee will now begin its investigation as it works on finalizing the inquiry's terms of reference by the end of this week. Babalondenze reports.
Soviet Lekganyane was confirmed as the chairperson to lead the 18-member multi-party committee that will investigate several allegations of police malfeasance and political interference. But Action SA MP Derelene James says while they note Lekganyane's election, it would have been more fitting to elect someone from a party whose members are not implicated, in reference to suspended Police Minister Senzo Mchunu.
But how do we garner public trust here this morning when we have a chairperson that has been elected from the very party where most of these people are embroiled in?
But Lekganyane defended his nomination, saying he represents the country's interests.
I was not sworn here through the law of the ANC. There is only one law which we used to swear in members of parliament. That is the Republic, the law of the Republic of South Africa.
Parties will now make submissions on the committee's terms of reference, which must be finalized before close of business on Friday. Babalondenza, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Community members near the Sheba gold mine say the crackdown on illegal mining will fail as long as security guards continue to open the gates for a fee. More than 500 Zamazamas have been arrested at the mine since last week under police Operation Valumkoti. Locals claim that while police seal off shafts above ground, a shadow trade is quietly opening them back up at night. Mongezi Koko is in Mpumalanga.
A former illegal miner told EWN how he and others were let in under the cover of darkness by security personnel who knew the tunnels well. He says for a small cash payment, guards would show them the safest shafts to descend, map out underground pathways and point out hidden trails used to get food and water to those working deep below.
Come here several times because I will do the connection security guys here. You can't stop us from
illegally mining.
Community members say this alleged collusion is why illegal mining has thrived for years and why it won't end with arrests alone. Responding during a briefing outside the mine, Sheba Mine said the claims are being taken seriously and investigations are underway.
Investigations are ongoing. There's been a major bust. It's been for a week. It's going to carry on for the next few months at least, until we uncover leads that we are developing at the moment.
Mongi Zikoko, Eyewitness News, Barberton.
The city of Tshwane will be appealing a court ruling which declared its 194 rand a month city cleansing levy unlawful. The city received a scathing judgment last week from the Gauteng High Court for not complying with its own legislation by introducing the tariff. The court challenge was brought forward by lobby group AfriForum. Thabiso Koba has more.
For its case, the Tshwane municipality hired 3 advocates with the title of senior counsel, the highest designation attainable by a lawyer. However, acting judge George Avokomidis says they put up a completely unmeritorious case and slapped the city with a cost order. In its papers, the city says the cleansing levy will be charged to residents and businesses that use private waste collection. However, AfriForum successfully argued the city cannot impose a surcharge for a service it does not render. Tshwane MMC for Environment Obakeng Ramabodu says the city remains steadfast in its belief that revenue generated from the levy will assist in the maintenance of its landfill sites, which are used by everyone. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
Stellenbosch University has begun contact tracing of those who were in close contact with second-year theology student Chris Skeefers before his death. The 19-year-old was found dead inside his room at the Dagbreek residence at the weekend. The university confirmed today that Skeefers died from meningitis. The institution says meningitis is endemic to the Western Cape, where it circulates more commonly during the winter months, with most cases occurring without a clearly identifiable source of contact. Lauren Isaacs has more.
Stellenbosch University's Martin Viljoen says as this strain of meningitis can spread in close contact environments and is considered serious, the university's health protocols have been activated, guided by provincial and national health policies. They're working to trace those who were in close contact with the 19-year-old student recently so that chemoprophylaxis, a preventative medication, can be administered within the next 24 hours to reduce the risk of infection. Viljoen says although no further confirmed cases have been reported, the institution will continue to monitor the situation and contacts closely over the next few days. According to Campus Health, the bacterial infection initially presents itself with flu-like symptoms, headaches, muscle pains, joint pains, and photophobia, which steadily become worse. Lauren Isaacs, Eyewitness News.
And as nations try to resolve the global plastics crisis, the head of UN talks has told negotiators to forge a landmark treaty on eliminating the life-threatening waste. 180 countries have restarted talks in Geneva today after 3 years of negotiations hit the wall in South Korea last year. Key figures steering the negotiations at this new attempt say they are not expecting an easy ride this time, but insist that a deal remains within reach. Gold is trading at $3,353.32 an ounce. The rand is at 18.05 to the dollar, 23.96 to the pound, 20.82 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $68.76 a barrel.
Expect some delays in Bryanston heading towards Fourways. That's the N1 southbound between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive. Also driving through the Joburg CBD heading towards Boysons. Traffic remains sluggish on the M1 southbound between Killarney Bains and the Crown Interchange. And finally, in Protea Lane, we still have bumper-to-bumper traffic. N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558.
In your sport, Tshwane FC chairman has no plans to purchase Bloemfontein Celtic's naming rights. Richards Bay's homecoming is delayed by a poor pitch. And Emma Raducanu hires Rafa Nadal's
A partly cloudy Wednesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Joburg dropping to overnight lows of 6 degrees, peaking at 22. Pretoria 7 and 23, and Vereniging 3 and 20 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Chairperson of Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating police corruption, Soviet Tshwane, says MPs should put South Africans first and not play politics.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
on 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 9 minutes past 4. Welcome to the show. If you've just joined us, great to have had you over the last hour. If there's anything you missed, and I will tell you that if you missed our interview with Brett Michael Innes, screenwriter for the film May F. Maralise, please do go on to Prime Media Plus and have a listen. It's a fabulous sounding movie that grew out of a video that went viral some 6 years ago. Prime Media Plus for that and anything else you might have missed on 702 Drive. Just in regard to the lead story of that Bali Dlamini had a moment ago, Soviet Tshwane joining us after 5 to give us his take on that parliamentary ad hoc committee looking into the allegations made by General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Also in the second hour of the show, Peter Kutzer came back from the World Swimming Championships with 3 medals, a gold and 2 silvers. We'll talk to one of his very first coaches who took charge of this extraordinary talent in the pool when he was just 13 years old. Khalid Railun joining us at about 20 past 5. We'll talk about the state of Rea Vaya buses, alarming information emerging in the course of a strike, but also in the course of a business rescue. And breastfeeding in South Africa, numbers are going down. We'll find out why. That's at 20 past 4. We asked you about strange things you've seen in supermarkets. Some of you sent us this.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
John Co, Farouk, Manjudog Observatory, Josie. Supermarket or food shopping stories. A few years ago, I was at the Killarney Woolworths when it hadn't been kind of all zooshed up. And there was this person ahead of me, quite a privileged housewife or wife, whatever, from Houghton, who went and opened up about 5 boxes of different grapes, tasted like 5 or 6, and then put them all back. Well, I picked up the 5, followed her, put them into her basket, and followed her until she paid for every single one. She was, of course, furious with me, but I said that she could feed someone on the streets if she desired, but she needed those 5 boxes because I wasn't going to buy them and no one else was. So there you go. Terror of the supermarket am I. Karen or Ken. I think I'm more Karen.
Hi, Dr. John. My wife, it clicks. She likes playing with the vibrating toothbrush. So she'll go, take that toothbrush, and then force that hard plastic to get to press it, then press it, and then it vibrates. Then we're fascinated by that, and then we just go out.
Okay. Match those stories. Well, this one I think matches. Amira sends us this. I was about 5 years old. I saw Chappie's chewing gum at the local supermarket. I don't know what came over me, but I just took the Chappie while my parents were shopping. When we got into the car, I ate the Chappie and my parents asked me where I got it from. I froze and didn't want to say anything at that moment. My parents realized I had stolen it. They drove me straight to the police station and threatened to put me in jail. They told my whole family about the incident, and I had calls saying I'm wanted on TV for stealing and I was going to jail. The next day I had to go back because apparently I was on the wanted list, paid 50 cents for the Chappie just for the lady at the supermarket to give me another one for free. Man, Amira, maybe there's a movie in that as well when we talk about movies from small things. Thank you. Please do keep those coming. 072 702 702 14 past 4.
EWN Traffic.
So, Karabo Chale, what's going on? Because apparently nothing's going on.
Well, there is some traffic, but some good news is that not looking too bad. No accidents have been reported at this hour. It is peak hour traffic, so you might be stuck here and there. In Bryanston, expect some delays on the N1 southbound. This is from Rivonia Road to Winnie Mandela Drive. Poles off, also slow-moving traffic on Witkoppen Road between Main Road and Stonehaven and Rivonia Road. There's also slow-moving traffic leaving Sandton heading towards Midrand. You can expect about a 20-minute delay on the M1 northbound from Ethel Oaklands all the way to the Butlu interchange. Also driving through the Joburg CBD, traffic remains heavily backed up on the M1 southbound from Kilani Benz all the way to the Crown interchange. Protea Glen, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. In the Kuruleni Brakpan, traffic is heavily backed up on Heidelberg Road. This is approaching the N17 and Ellsberg Road. There's also slow-moving traffic in the Kempton Park area on the R21 southbound. That's heading towards OR Tambo International Airport, leaving Tembisa. Between the R25 Babsfontein off-ramp and Pomona Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please SMS us on 31702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
4:15 on 702 Drive. Now, a really powerful story in the Sowetan today. Nandi Ntini is the journalist who wrote it. Some of you live out in Soweto will know, either because you use the buses or you live in the Meadowlands area, that Rea Vaya drivers were protesting at the bus depot, saying that the buses they're being asked to drive, some of them at least, are unroadworthy. Nandi spoke to a number of drivers who said that some of our buses don't have proper brakes or headlights. And it's been confirmed, by the way, in that story by Mahir Tayob, who's the company's business rescue practitioner, that at least 45 buses currently have expired license discs. Now, that stoppage is over, as I understand it. Rea Vaya is up and running again. But what this dispute has revealed is that the company may not be looking after both its drivers and its buses on the one hand and its passengers on the other, as well as it should. So let's get some more information on this and welcome to 702 Drive, Deputy Regional Chairperson of the South African Municipal Workers Union, SAMWU, Lebogang Ndawo. Welcome to 702. Thanks for your time.
Good afternoon to you and all the listeners.
So, Mr. Ndawo, I mean, what I'm reading out of Nandi Ntini's piece in Sowetan is that the buses, many of them, are in a bad state. Now, this doesn't happen quickly. From your perspective at SAMWU, how long have you been aware that this is actually a problem? What have your members been saying?
Thanks again for affording SAMWU this opportunity. But what you have not been aware of is that there is two companies that are operating in that space.
Okay.
One is Piotrans and the other one is Litsamais. So the bus that the company that is mostly affected by these unroadworthy buses is the Piotrans company.
Okay.
So as a result, their drivers are the ones that, after the Gauteng traffic declared that their buses are not roadworthy, their buses have got a lot of faults on them, then they are not to be operated on the system, and they would then have to be grounded. And then as a result, a few days later, we then saw drivers of Piotrans then having grievances against those that are driving for Litsamais. That is why even now, when you look at what is happening, Litsamais is operational, whereas Piotrans is not operational.
Okay. Thank
so
you.
That's,
yeah.
Yes.
No, thank you for that clarity, Mr. Ndawo. So for me to depict it simply as a Rea Vaya problem is not actually entirely accurate. So these problems with the buses, I mean, I would have thought renewing a license is straightforward. Getting brakes fixed obviously is a maintenance challenge that needs to be met. But that as well is not an extraordinarily difficult thing to do in a company that's run halfway decently. I mean, does this point to deeper problems at Rea Vaya?
Yeah, yes, it shows you the challenges that we've been having. At a certain point, we did pose a question to say, why do we don't look into absorbing Rea Vaya into Metro Bus, because there are also buses and we use that system that is there. But for one reason or another, in the city of Johannesburg, there might be other reasons where there's companies involved. Hence, now you see there's what we view as duplication of functions, because you've got two companies operating under Rea Vaya.
Yes.
You've got Metro Bus that is operating there. Now, one of the companies that are even failing to maintain the buses, which also brings a threat to the commuters that are there, including the drivers themselves.
There's so much that needs looking into, but thank you, Lebogang Ndawu, raising the suggestion. Amalgamate or merge in some way Metrobus and Rea Vaya. That's a suggestion that SAMWU has been putting forward, or is certainly putting forward now. Do you use Rea Vaya? Do you drive a Rea Vaya bus? Are you involved in the company in any way, either whichever of the two divisions that you may be involved with? Do give us a call on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. We've been asking you about strange and unusual things you have seen in supermarkets, and somebody called Chanel says all tills actually open. Okay, thank you, Chanel. Rather dry. 20 minutes past 4.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Interesting piece in Daily Maverick. Studies are showing, as we begin to mark World Breastfeeding Week, it began last Friday, saw the launch because it's the first week of August, is that there are significant declines in exclusive breastfeeding rates in South Africa, dropping substantially over the last 8 years. So what's behind this and why is it so important? We welcome to 702 Drive for this conversation Dr. Chantal Witten on the line to us from Cape Town, Health Systems Director at the organization Ilifa Labantwana. Dr. Witten, thanks very much and thanks for giving us your time. The phrase used very explicitly, exclusive breastfeeding. Tell us why that it in itself is so important. I mean, is it the view, for example, of the World Health Organization and your organization that exclusive breastfeeding is the way to go?
Good afternoon, John, and good afternoon to the listeners. So yes, the word and the term and the concept of exclusive breastfeeding is by the World Health Organization, supported by UNICEF and in line with our National Department of Health. And of course, ILIFA aligns to the National Department of Health and government policies. So just to explain, exclusive breastfeeding means breast milk only,
yes,
nothing else but breast milk. And it's a definition and it's a practice that we want all mothers with infants under the age of 6 months. So that first 6 months of life, the infant needs nothing else but breast milk. No
Right.
water, no tea, nothing.
So,
Yes.
so in the conversation you've had around this, a number of factors are given. The one that struck me as important is insecure employment, and hunger and malnutrition also come in as factors. We'll go into the formula milk industry in a moment, but those economic and social factors in our country, tell us how they play a part in what's being observed and recorded.
So the reason why moms aren't exclusively breastfeeding in that first 6 months and what we are focusing on is firstly that moms don't have protected maternity leave. If you are not formally employed, if you're in the informal sector, you don't benefit from the maternity policies that we have. If you're not working for more than a year, you don't benefit for maternity protection. And so many of our moms are needing to look for work. And so they return back to the workplace, whether that's in the informal sector or we call it piece jobs or looking for domestic work. They don't breastfeed because they don't want their child to be dependent on them. So it's easier to leave a child with a neighbor or with another caregiver because then the child is not attached to the breast, so to speak. Then, of course, moms are also suffering from hunger. So many moms are food insecure, and there's an expression, if I'm hungry, I'm feeding my child my hunger.
It's a complex mix of circumstances, but added to that, you and others have a view about the formula milk industry and whether they're contributing to the problems. Spell that out for us, if you will.
It is complicated because many of the formula industries also supply information. They also support the academic fraternity. They give lectures at universities. They fund bursaries. They fund opportunities, learning opportunities. They give awards to pediatricians and dietitians and nurses. And so there's this convoluted and conflicted relationship between health professionals and academics, health professional organizations, and the formula industry. And we call that commercial determinants of health. So where there's a commercial interest, and we have to accept that the commercial industry is not driven by health, they're driven by profits. And so if the commercial industry, in this case, formula industry, needs to make money, it needs to sell more formula. And that's at the expense of breast milk and breastfeeding.
So would you, though, I mean, they might say in response, and it's not something I've read up on, but this does occur to me, Dr. Whitten, they may say, we fully support the idea, breast milk exclusive for 6 months, but after that we're fulfilling a need.
Of course they would say that because it sells their product. What we are interested is in health. And so you can't ignore the negative impact of formula feeding and health outcomes. So we know children who are formula fed have higher risk of disease, like diarrhea. They have infections like ear infections, gastro infections, upper respiratory tract infections is higher amongst formula-fed children. And in the context of South Africa, obesity is fueled by formula feeding. And so this is also about health outcomes. Not only is it about children that are not healthy because they're not breastfed adequately, but the economic impact on poor households, a household that is dependent on a child support grant, the cost of formula is astronomical, and moms can't afford to buy enough formula.
But if I go back to where we started, Dr. Whitten, again, the argument might go that given the socio-economic forces that you describe, that is pushing women away from breastfeeding, many of these forces way beyond their control. What are the alternatives if formula isn't? What should be a given in a country like South Africa, a middle-income country, is that we should have protected maternity benefits. That means protected employment benefits for women who are employed and fall pregnant. They should be guaranteed their job. And until then?
And until then, we should be having support systems like we have in Brazil, Rwanda, Southeast Asia has done this. It's best practice. Where you have high formula feeding in a poor context like South Africa has, no running water, high unemployment, our mortality rates are higher. We have learned this from our time during HIV. We gave free formula and more children were dying because they weren't able to appropriately formula feed. Those conditions have not changed, John. People are still living below the poverty line. They cannot afford enough formula, and therefore we see an increase in severe acute malnutrition, and that's why children are dying in South Africa as well.
Thanks so much, Dr. Chantel Whitten. Maybe you've got a view on that. Give us a call. Health Systems Director at Ilifa Tshwane, joining us on the line from Cape Town, 28 minutes past 4.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, a very good afternoon to you. What kind of day are we having on the market?
Yeah, a very busy day, actually, John. Good afternoon to you. In the retail sector, but also Telkom and Nedbank. The JSE All Share up 0.35% at 99,658, heading back towards 100,000 points again. Financials down 1.18, and industrials up 0.39, and then resources up 2.34. Telkom down 11% on the day, John. Look, they did report their mobile service revenue was up by nearly 8%. It earned 11% more for for fibre-based services in the 6 months to the end of June. The big sort of mark against it would be its BCX subsidiary. It's battling. Its revenue was down by over 8% year on year. I think investors just generally were expecting more. Nedbank also down by 5.83%. They've confirmed today they'll be selling their stake in EcoBank. They'll be moving to focus more on Southern and Eastern Africa. But still, just interesting to see what people are saying in their results. We will speak to the CEO, Jason Quinn, tonight. They also say they expect a stable interest rate outlook. In other words, and I'll check with him, it seems to me they're not expecting any more interest rate cuts, despite earlier predictions from most banks that would come through. Of course, we saw what the bank said on the subject last week. Then ShopRite shares are down by 0.38% at the moment. They were down quite dramatically earlier. It announced it believes its headline earnings will be up by 20% for the year ending at the end of June. Its turnover in South Africa was up by 10%. Internal inflation was 1.9% in the first half of the year. It rose to 2.7% in the second half. 60/60, the delivery service, increased its sales by nearly half. That's probably why you saw so many more motorbikes on the road. So, John, interesting this. Internal inflation at ShopRite was 2.7% in the second half. But Pick n Pay says for the 17 weeks to the end of June, its internal inflation was 1.8%. So it was lower. And I've asked Sean Summers before, how do you compete with, ShopRite? But it seems that ShopRite's prices, internal inflation is going up by slightly more. Pick n Pay's like-for-like sales were up 3.6%. Their online sales growth were up by 0.3%. Their shares, Pick n Pay shares, up by 2.63% at the moment. I must just point out, Boxer had their update last week, and that is helping to drive Pick n Pay quite dramatically as well. Gold shares up as well. The gold price is higher, so Anglo Gold's up 5%, Goldfields up nearly 5%, AB InBev up 2.65%, and then Hyprop, they're up 1.8%. Remember, they had that bid for Mazda, then dropped that, and then we've seen Prime Capital, it seems, moving in. And then First Rand are down 2%. We Buy Cars down 2% as well. So is Old Mutual down 2.7% at the moment. And Implats is also down 3.5%. In the US, Wall Street sort of looking okay. Started higher. There was ongoing optimism about more interest rate cuts there. There's also quite a lot of corporate numbers to look at. For the moment, though, the Dow Jones, it's the usual pattern, down 0.12%. The Nasdaq is up 0.32%. The S&P 500 is up 0.12% at the moment. The gold price, $3,374.44 an ounce. Platinum, $1,309.20. Brent crude, $67.90 a barrel. And the rand to the dollar has 17.96, to the euro 20.72, to the British pound 23.85. We'll speak to the CEO of Nedbank, speak to the CEO of the JSE on the Money Show as well tonight. Stephen Crotus, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. Back with us a little bit later in the show, somewhere around 26 minutes past 5. 28 minutes to 5. Bali Dlamini is joining us with the very latest eyewitness news. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. The DA's bill aimed at blocking impeached individuals from serving in government has taken its first step on the road to be considered a viable law. Introduced by the party's Justice spokesperson, Glenys Breitenbach, the Constitution 22nd Amendment Bill seeks to amend 3 sections of the Constitution to achieve this objective. The bill has been prompted by former Public Protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane and former Judge President John Hlophe, both becoming parliamentarians mere months after being impeached by the National Assembly. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
It was not until the 6th administration that Parliament faced impeaching a head of a Chapter 9 institution for the first time, and then the country's first 2 judges. The DA's Glenys Breitenbach says her bill seeks to plug a gap in the law that prevents impeached individuals from becoming members of a national or provincial legislature or a municipal council. The Council for the Advancement of the South African Constitution has made a similar proposal to Parliament's Constitutional Review Committee, which Breitenbach co-chairs. Breitenbach says her bill is needed to bolster public trust in Parliament and to increase the legislature's ability to hold other arms of government accountable. The public can make submissions on the bill by writing to the Speaker of the National Assembly by the 31st of this month. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
The South African National Taxi Council plans to introduce a cashless payment system amongst many other suggestions to improve the minibus taxi industry. The news comes after a peace summit between industry stakeholders and government as well as law enforcement, which was held in Cape Town yesterday, discussing ways to stop recurrent taxi violence. Morgan van der Heerde reports.
Solutions including universal branding were tabled in the meeting to help simplify the process of reporting bad driving by the public. The association also plans to establish peace ambassadors who will be trained in conflict resolution and operate on the ground to prevent violent outbreaks. Western Cape Santaco chairperson Mandla Hermanus says they've already started with steps to formalize taxi associations.
There's a process of vetting that we have asked the government to assist us with. This will include tapping into the capabilities of SAPS and the justice system to identify if there are people in the taxi industry who are involved in criminal activities.
Implementation dates have not yet been set as engagement continues among stakeholders. Morgan van der Heerde, Eyewitness News.
And Israel will partially reopen private sector trade with Gaza to reduce its reliance on humanitarian aid. Israel has been fighting Palestinian militant group Hamas in Gaza for 22 months and imposed a total blockade in March, partially lifted it in May to allow a US-backed private agency to open food distribution centers. Aid convoys and airdrops by Arab and European militaries resumed last month as a UN-mandated expert reports warned of a famine that was unfolding in the war-torn territory. A partly cloudy Wednesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, lows of between 3 and 7 degrees and highs of between 20 and 23.
Well, at this stage in the Brakpan area, bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on Elsburg Road, opposite Carnival City, heading towards Heidelberg Road. There's roadworks taking place there. Also, slow-moving traffic. That's heading towards OR Tambo International Airport, Kempton Park, R21 southbound, between the R25 Popsfontein Road off-ramp and Pomona Road. And finally, in the Benoni area, there's also slow-moving traffic on Atlas Road, approaching the N12.
The top story in EWN, the DA's bill aimed at blocking impeached individuals from serving in government has taken its first step on the road to be considered a viable law by being published for public comment.
702 afternoons
with Relebogile Mabota, 1 to 3 p.m.
What has been some of the most difficult parts of teaching self-care by demonstrating it? Because if your children never see you take care of yourself, but you tell them to rest, they will probably not rest because they see you not resting. Are you guilty of this?
No, I'm guilty of doing the opposite. I'm always sleeping. Because of the hours that we work, I'm always sleeping. But I'll give you an example. So just this week, I went and had my nails done and I got nail art. And they were both like, that is so cool. They saw me try something new that's not me. And I've always said to them, anything in life except a tattoo can be changed. I can help you with anything in life. Oh, except, I've said to them, drug addiction.
Yes, Cindy Baluta.
702 afternoons
with Relebogile Mabota.
Let's walk the talk.
There's power in a single partner who helps you build a better employee benefits strategy. Begin with retirement, the foundation of securing your employee's future. Now layer in everyday health, mental wellness, and financial balance. And finally, essential protection for life's curveballs, from illness to income loss. Now that sounds like a complete benefit strategy, one that protects your people and powers your business. Talk to us at employeebenefits@oldmutual.com about Old Mutual Corporate's integrated employee benefits solutions. Old Mutual Corporate is a division of Old Mutual Life Assurance Company SA Limited, a licensed FSP and life insurer. T's and C's apply.
Miranda is feeling very distressed. She's as bald as a billiard ball. This must be the work of her fancy new name brand shampoo.
No.
She bought it because of an ad, which read, buy one and get one best hair free. But because the dumb ad had neglected to add, buy one and get one best hair free, for free.
What?
Miranda washed her hair in hair removal cream. Now, Miranda is going to need therapy and some new hats. Report misleading ads to the Advertising Regulatory Board at arb.org.za.
Zinzi, the Gen Z. Word on the street is you sold your car.
Yes, and I needed a glow up. #, no hustle,
no hassle.
So wait. The influencer got influenced by We Buy Cars.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. And they came to me. They checked the car, they gave me an offer. Oh, and they paid me immediately. Easier than an Insta Live, without the weird DMs at 2 a.m.
I didn't understand half of the things you just said, but hey, We Buy Cars. Geared for the glow up, geared for you.
Every business begins with heart, but it thrives with support. And no one backs Gauteng's dreamers and doers like 702, Yoko, and you. Gauteng's greatest awards with 702 and Yoko are back to recognize and celebrate the local entrepreneurs making life better. From your favorite coffee spot to the baker who knows your name, from the salon that raised generations to the bold newcomer raising the bar. Just think of the business that made you feel seen. Now's your chance to say, I see you. I see you. Go to primemediaplus.com to view the categories and make your nomination. Because this province isn't just the hub of business, it's the home of excellence. And excellence deserves your applause. Gauteng's greatest awards with 702, powered by Yoko. Let Yoko Counter fuel your business to greatness. Go to yoko.com to explore the new point of sale solution, saving hundreds of businesses time and money.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, Bro John. Yeah, about the supermarket. I went to a supermarket, I think Pick and Pay, and there was this young man. He came in and then he went to where drinks are. He took out the drink there and then opening it up and then drinking and put it back where he found it. Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, it's Clement in Mamelodi. Thank you. Bye.
Health system.
Good afternoon, John. I don't know. I hear what the doctor is saying, but I don't think I fully agree with her. When I gave birth to my daughter, I couldn't breastfeed. There was nothing coming out. Like if I were to pump out milk a day, I'd pump out like 13 milliliters of milk. I didn't have enough milk to feed my child. So we can't entirely blame it on the support system. My workplace supports me. I was on maternity leave, but there's just no milk in my breast.
Yeah, a couple of people responding to the conversation we had about declining levels of exclusive breastfeeding in South Africa. Dr. Chantel Witten was our guest, Health Systems Director at ILIFA. Tshwane, if you missed that, go to primemediaplus.com. Of course, you go there for any of the interviews that we've had that you might have missed. Another response on that, Jackie says the SA Department of Health should be able to give breast pumps for free at clinics so milk can be stored and given to the baby when the mother can't. Not the best option, Jackie says, but it would help. It's 18 minutes to 5.
EWN Sport.
Right, let's get the very latest sport. A new Betway Premiership season is upon us. Tolakele has got news about preparations from teams and some business in the transfer market. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. And it's Stella Mpashiwa in a rush to register 6 new players ahead of Sunday's opening clash against Kaizer Chiefs. They include Turan Mantov and Henry Stanich. For Chiba United, they've confirmed 4 new signings, including Azola Zobeni, who joins from Orlando Pirates, while Richards Bay's return to the Umhlatsuzi Sports Complex has been postponed due to poor pitch conditions. As a result, their game against Marumo Gallants on Saturday will now be played at the Kingswell Tennis Stadium. Newcomers Swelele FC, meanwhile, have said there'll be no change for their club. That's due to the cost tied to purchasing Bloemfontein Celtics naming rights. Their chairman was speaking on Marawa Sports Worldwide, and Kevin De John has discussed if there was ever a possibility of Punya Selesele's name being acquired from Eddie Modise.
I cannot buy a name for 10% of the club's value. For me, it's 5 million for a name. Personally, I can't. That's what the people that have tried to buy the name before me, that was the asking price. 2, I don't know Mr. Modise. I've got all the respect for him as an elder. Somewhere in my heart, I do believe that he is Kilisele, but for me, I just can't spend that type of money.
American sprinter Kenny Bednarek has labeled Noah Lyles unsportsmanlike after they heated 200-meter showdown at the USA Track and Field Championships that almost led to blows on Sunday. Lyles stormed past Bednarek to win in a world-leading 19.63 seconds and turned his head to stare him down as they crossed the line. Bednarek then responded by shoving Lyles in the back before the two exchanged heated words. And Emma Raducanu has added Rafael Nadal's former coach Francis Rioch to her team on a full-time basis. That's ahead of this month's US Open. The two worked together on a trial basis during Wimbledon, and she'll begin working with him in Cincinnati this week after he agreed a contract until the end of 2025. The Spaniard will be the 8th coach of Raducanu's career. Tola Gilemganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Coming up now for 16 minutes to 5, where it's been going pretty well up to now. But north of Pretoria, Karabo Chale, some difficulties, I believe.
Yeah, traffic is a bit sluggish, John, in the Wonderboom area. This is on Steve Biko Road between Fred Nicholson and Wonderboom Hoër School, while in Ekurhuleni, Benoni, slow-moving traffic on Atlas Road. This is approaching the N12. Also in the Brakpan area, traffic heavily backed up on Heidelberg Road, approaching the N17. Kempton Park, traffic pressure still on the R21 southbound. That's heading towards OR Tambo International Airport between the R25 Paffontein off-ramp and Pomona Road, while in Bryanston, expect some delays on the N1 South between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive. If you come across any other traffic issues, please SMS us on 31702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
We were chatting a little bit before the show, and I heard from one of my colleagues a story of coming to work on a day that wasn't a work day, which I thought was pretty unusual. I don't think I've ever done that. I've never really confused Sunday and Monday or anything like that. But I'm just wondering if you've ever turned up somewhere either early or, by a day, maybe come to work on a day when you weren't on shift or whatever it was, or maybe you arrived at a party a week, day, month early. I've been a day early to a party. It was a bit awkward because there was a party going on. It just wasn't the one to which I'd been invited. It was a family celebration and different days had been set up. First day was for family members who all looked and said, well, I don't know, he may be a relative, but he doesn't look familiar.
Did you stick around?
No, in fact, I mean, the people said, you early, which was good because it could have been very awkward. And then if I'd heard later that I was there on a day when I really wasn't expected, I think I would have felt worse. So it was good. Right, early up front, they didn't say, what are you doing? And they said, I think you're a bit early. I hadn't gone to another country for this. It was close by. Tola Kele ever pitched up at work when it wasn't a work day?
Absolutely not, John. But I do.
That settles that.
Listen, I take my days off seriously.
Yes.
I do have a funny story of my aunt going to the wrong funeral. She woke up at 6 a.m, made it such a big deal to everybody that she had to be there because her and this lady used to work together, all of that. And then at 8 o'clock, she's like, okay, guys, I've arrived. Cool. The whole day passes by, and then she comes back home. And she's like, we sat there for 3 hours and we had no idea who they were talking about. And then it was only when they got to the graveyard that they realized that it was still the same funeral parlor, but they went to the wrong one. And the street they were supposed to actually go to was the street after the one they were sitting at. But because they were there at the beginning of the service, they couldn't leave because it would have looked weird.
Yes.
That while everybody's mourning, you guys are just taking your bags and you're going back home. So she buried someone that she didn't know.
Well, she got to know someone, but too late in life,
unfortunately.
What an extraordinary story. There was a TV series called The Vicar of Dibley. I'm trying to remember. Dawn French was, I think, the main character. Anyway, they're having a wedding, and she says, does anyone have any reason why this couple should not be joined in holy matrimony? I don't know the words, but that's the gist. And somebody shouts, I do, and that man is, and reels off a whole thing. And then the bride and groom turn around and the person says, oh, sorry, wrong wedding. So it is a vehicle in comedy.
Yeah.
Turned up for work ever when you weren't scheduled, expected?
Never. Hey, look at you telling it.
I don't think this has happened to anyone by the look of it.
But I had turned out to lectures when I was still early days of my varsity days, when I was like an eager student, trying to impress and get the nice marks. So I lived by myself in a flat.
Right.
So most of my friends lived at res and stuff like that. So we didn't really communicate the day before, and it turned out to be a public holiday. And there was Tshwane at 8 o'clock, ready and at the lecture room, but it was visibly empty. And
pen in hand?
Ready for the 100%, waiting for the lecture to come in.
Those lectures. They're always late, sometimes by a day. Give us a call on 011 883 0702 072 702 1702. Noni says, I also went to bury the wrong gogo and arrived on the wrong side of the bridge. Stories, eh? Coming to the wrong place or the wrong time or the mix. Give us yours, please. 072 702 1702. There it is, the number again. It's 11 minutes to 5.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Now, let's turn to this. We do it every week. It's called the Green Tip of the Week, and it's brought to you by Volvo. It's safe to be brave with Volvo. Each week, we'll highlight someone or something impacting the way we can be greener, cleaner, smarter, healthier, and above all, eco-friendly. Now, I'm sure you've heard of the term fast fashion. Fast fashion, of course, may mean different things to different people, but the fashion industry, according to earthday.org, is responsible for over 8% of total greenhouse gas emissions and chemicals used in the production of the raw materials that go into the clothing in this industry, pollute our water systems, and above all, there is a huge amount of waste. So, does it have to be like this? Can you still look great, buy clothes that are affordable, but be mindful of the consequences of your fashion and consumer choices for the life of our planet? Well, somebody who is very much focused on that is my next guest. Her name is Phumi Khoba, and she's founder of something called, and she'll tell me how to pronounce it, Wisi Oi, or OI. Anyway, it's an acronym. It stands for Wear It, Sell It, Own It. Phumi, welcome. Start me off, please, by telling me how to say the name of your company. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. It's pronounced WCOI, and you got it perfectly right. It's just an acronym for Wear It, Sell It, Own It.
Okay, great. So let's get into the issues here. First of all, before we talk about your solutions, what do you see as the problem?
So the problem is largely driven by all the social media activity. So just to give you a bit of context, 80% of the traffic within South Africa or Africa as a whole is driven by social media. So we're quite active on social media, and with everybody attending.
Okay, so that was a really poor line, and I'm really interested in this. It's something I've read a little bit about, but Phumi Khoba has thought about it and acted on it. We'll fix up the line. We're back in a moment.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
South Africa is scrambling now to find alternative measures and markets following the failure of negotiations on those tariffs imposed by US President. But how do you deal with a capricious interlocutor like Donald Trump?
What's important to recognize is they are a very big market and an important market for us. And we probably need to concretely address one or two of the policy issues.
Seems to me we've given them a lot of information they just don't want to hear. Dr. Stavros Nicolaou.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Don't miss out on the Powerball jackpot, estimated at a mind-blowing 124 million rand this Tuesday. Dare to dream big by playing Powerball now for the estimated 124 million rand jackpot and your chance at multi-millions. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529 hash for USSD. Panda Pusher Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
To live wealthier, you need to be able to grow your assets. At Standard Bank Private, you get a team of internationally acclaimed financial experts to advise you on local and global investment strategies. Plus, being with a leader in home loans, you can start expanding your property portfolio. So, come live wealthier with Africa's best private bank. Apply online at standardbank.co.za. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
What is overtrail? Is it off the beaten path, over the edge of comfort, or the thrill of the road less taken? It's over every bridge, every obstacle, every trail, and over to that view that takes your breath away. Overtrail means going further, exploring deeper, surrounded by the comfort and sophistication of a luxury SUV. It's this spirit that inspired the Overtrail project. Experience Overtrail in the LX and GX range. Lexus. Experience amazing.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Right, let's get back into the conversation with Phumi Korba, founder of WCOI. It stands for Wear It, Sell It, Own It. We're talking about fast fashion and the ecological and to some degree economic consequences of that deeply rooted trend in the way we go about looking for clothes, buying them, using them, and perhaps not disposing of them in the way we should. Phumi, back to you. I started off by asking you to give me your take on the problem. I've given some very broad numbers, but how do you see the problem? Then we'll get into your suggested solutions. Welcome back.
Thank you so much, John. So as I was saying, so quite a bit of the trend is driven quite highly by social media. We consume almost close to 80% of the traffic that is consumed on the internet is through social media, and this puts quite a lot of pressure on people to always wear something new whenever they post or attend an event, etc., etc. So we see social media driving quite a lot of this consumption of fast fashion, and therefore brands start to pump out quite a lot of this fashion in massive quantities just so that they can copy the trends of influencers or celebrities and keep up to date.
So is it in the nature of the garment itself, i.e. they're made to be worn not many times and then they wear out quite quickly, or is it often reasonably good quality stuff, but people are driven to buy plenty of it because of the trend you've just described?
Yeah, it's very difficult, John, to match quality and quantity, So
Yes.
As soon as your quantity becomes your driving driver, basically, your quality generally goes down. It's very difficult to measure the two together. So because fast fashion weighs more on the quantity point of view, the quality of these garments is generally not that great. And because it is fast fashion and it's made to be worn very few times, you find that these garments generally don't serve their purpose for a very long time, just both from a quality point of view, but also from a style point of view, because the user gets over it really quickly.
So let's talk about some concepts that certainly you have pushed for and you put into practice in your own company. The circular economy, what is it and why might it make a difference?
Yes, so circular economy is from the principle of if there is garments, because if you think about it, everybody shares clothes of some sort. So when you go to a shop, they've got sizes from A to Z, and everybody buys from that. So there is somebody who has got that style of that exact same size, color, shape that you are looking for. Circular economy is built to keep those clothes in circulation. So when you do wear your clothes 20% of the time, you can pass it on to the next user. So it's to keep the quality of the clothes in circulation for much longer.
Fashion re-commerce, pre-loved, used fashion. When I was younger, we called it second-hand clothes. Pre-loved sounds a little bit different, but it's basically the same. But is that something that has been taken, perhaps beyond, for example, charity shops and moved into the world of fashion, of boutiques? I don't know if I'm using the right terminology, but you'll tell me.
Yes, so pre-loved is exactly what that is. It's clothes that have been worn and someone loves them once again. Yes, it is secondhand clothing. And, South Africa is really doing well at adopting to this, whether it is through the Instagram thrift stores or it is through local digital platforms like WCOI. We're doing really well. We're also seeing quite a lot of these models getting adopted now here in South Africa from a resale, or people are now starting to rent out, whether they're going to parties, bridal showers, or any other event. So we're doing quite well when it comes to adoption of this trend. And if you look at the numbers, it's actually growing more and more, where people are making a smarter choice into what they wear.
Thank you so much, Pumi Korba, founder of WCOI. It stands for Wear It, Sell It, Own It. Lots of really interesting ideas put forward by my guest, and perhaps you want to respond to that. Have you given some thought to the way in which you consume clothing? Do any of these ideas strike you as something that you'd want to do? Call me on that, 011-883-0702. Remember when you had to wait for dial-up to connect? Technology moves on, so why are people still driving cars like it's 1999? Volvo's plug-in hybrids are the upgrade you've been waiting for. You don't need diesel power, you just need a second electric motor. Just like you update it from dial-up to fiber, you can upgrade your drive with electric for the city and fuel for the open road. Don't be the last one to catch up. You are late for your test drive. It's safe to be brave with Volvo. Green Tip of the Week was brought to you by Volvo. It's safe to be brave with Volvo. Tune in again for another Green Tip of the Week next Tuesday.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
So coming up on the show, we're going to be chatting to Soviet Lechanyane. He'll be chairing the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee looking into the allegations and indeed the fallout from those allegations. You will recall, I'm certain, Natal KZN Provincial Commissioner General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi made those comments, and now the committee gets busy. Chairperson Soviet Lechanyane joining us after 5 o'clock. And then I'm really looking forward to this. We have a real swimming star in Peter Kutsia. He swam in 3 events at the World Championships out in Singapore. Came back with 3 medals, 2 silver and a gold. What was he like as a young boy? At the age of 13, he had a coach called Khalid Railun, and we'll be talking to Khalid at about 20 past 5. What did he see in this young boy, barely out of his teens, that has led to one of the world's best? That's coming up on 702 Drive.
This is EWN.
2 more miners resurfaced from the Sheba gold mine in Barberton, and the police ad hoc committee wants MPs to focus on the people. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. 2 more illegal miners have resurfaced from the Sheba gold mine in Mpumalanga this afternoon in desperate need of medical attention. It comes as the search for suspected illegal miners continues at the site. More than 500 Zamazamas have been arrested since last week, with new groups still resurfacing from the mine's depths. Teams have been combing the sprawling underground network that runs for kilometers, a search made even harder by the shaft's hazardous conditions. Mongezi Koko reports.
Following the mass arrest of 494 miners on Friday, police have detained another 24 yesterday and 28 more today, many emerging after days hiding deeper inside the mine. Despite the risk of cave-ins, gas pockets and starvation, authorities say there's no evidence of fatalities so far. Mine spokesperson Heathen Hira.
I think there was 1 fatality, operational. But illegal miners, we report directly, but not.
The mine search teams have been navigating the terrain looking for anyone still alive below. Community members remain anxious, fearing a repeat of the Stilfontein tragedy where miners died after being trapped. For now, the search continues. Mongi Zikoko, Eyewitness News, Barberton.
Chairperson of Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating police corruption, Soviet Lechanyane, says MPs should put South Africans first and not play politics. Lechanyane was elected to lead the 18-member ad hoc committee, which will be probing the allegations made by KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, which implicate politicians, police leadership, as well as prosecutors. The committee will now begin its investigation as it works on finalizing the inquiry's terms of reference by the end of the week. Babalondenze reports.
Soviet Lekhanyane's election at the ad hoc committee's first meeting today signaled the official start of Parliament's investigation into corruption and interference in the criminal justice system. Lekhanyane told the meeting that South Africans are losing confidence in state institutions, with public trust at an all-time low. He says the committee must now work towards changing the negative sentiments held by South Africans.
All of us, let's work in the name of the people of South Africa. South Africans, if we look at the surveys that have been done previously, are losing confidence in public institutions, including Parliament.
The committee is expected to have a follow-up meeting next week to finalize its terms of reference before inviting witnesses to give evidence. Babalo Ndense, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
To this now, Gauteng police believe the 4 men gunned down by officers in Randfontein and the West Rand may be linked to other crimes. Deputy Provincial Police Commissioner Fred Kekana says they have evidence including fake number plates which show that the suspects were planning to commit a crime. The gang was killed in a shootout with officers today who believe that they were on their way to commit a robbery. Khomotso Modise reports.
Gauteng Deputy Police Commissioner Fred Kekana says officers in the province received a tip-off from crime intelligence members in the Eastern Cape about a planned robbery by the 4 men. He says police stopped their vehicle with the intention of effecting an arrest but ended up in a shootout.
When they noted the police trying to stop them, then they felt they can challenge the law enforcement and the police. They started shooting at the police from their vehicle, and the police had no choice.
He says a rifle and 2 pistols were recovered.
The vehicle had false number plates, and the real true number plates of the vehicle, we found them in the car. And that shows how these people planned and they were en route to commit the crimes, thinking they will not be traced.
Kekana has reiterated that investigations into the matter continue. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News.
Let's stay with policing matters. 10 Ekurhuleni Metro Police and SAPS officers charged with theft will be spending another night in prison as their bail application is set to continue tomorrow. The officers made their first appearance before the Germiston Magistrates Court for their bail application today. They were arrested for allegedly stealing stock and a large sum of money from a tuck shop in Edenvale in June. Ntokozo Khumalo has more.
As the officers walked into the Germiston Magistrate Courts with their faces covered, each one was asked to remove their masks to allow for the court to identify them. The officers have been charged with theft for taking stock from a shop in the East Rand during a spaza shop compliance operation. National Prosecuting Authority Pindim Jonondwane.
Soon after the operation, a shop owner laid a complaint with the police stating that there were several items that were seized by the officers at his shop, and upon investigation it was found that some of the seized items were not registered.
The state says it does not intend to oppose bail. Ntokozo Khumalo, Eyewitness News.
And China is experiencing an alarming outbreak of a mosquito-borne virus known as chikungunya since last month. More than 7,000 cases of that virus have been reported across the country. On Sunday, Hong Kong reported its first case, a 12-year-old boy who traveled to the city of Foshan and later developed a fever, a rash, as well as joint pain. While outbreaks are rare in the country, the spread has triggered concern from authorities and government officials. Chikungunya was first identified in Tanzania in 1952 and has since spread to over 110 countries. Gold is trading at $3,353.32 an ounce. The rand is at 18.06 to the dollar, 23.94 to the pound, 20.81 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $68.76 a barrel.
Brakpan roadworks causing more than a 20-minute delay on Elsburg Road between Carnival City and Heidelberg Road. There's also bumper-to-bumper traffic. That's on the N17 eastbound coming from Boksburg heading into Brakpan between Rondebold and Heidelberg Road, and in the Kempton Park area. Traffic remains heavily backed up heading towards OR Tambo International Airport on the R21 southbound between the R25 Papsfontein Road and Pomona Road.
In your sport, Sewelele FC chairman has no plans to purchase Bloemfontein Celtics naming rights. Richards Bay's homecoming is delayed by a poor pitch. And Emma Raducanu hires Rafa Nadal's former coach.
A partly cloudy Wednesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Joburg dropping to overnight lows of 6 degrees, peaking at 22. Pretoria 7 and 23, and Vereeniging 3 and 20 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: 2 more illegal miners have resurfaced from the Sheba gold mine in Mpumalanga this afternoon in need of urgent medical attention.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 9 minutes past 5. Yeah, it's been really sobering, and good afternoon to everybody who has just joined us. The reporting of Mongezi Koko coming out of Barberton. He's doing an excellent job chatting to people living in the community around the mine. And what they're saying is, as you heard in that bulletin, for as long as it costs, I would think, a relatively small amount of money to bribe security guards to get into areas where they can access the mine and the gold, they're never going to be able to stop this Zama plague that really is hammering our country. More on that story a little bit later. It's 9 minutes past 5.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
But let's turn our attention now to one of the other stories in Mbali Dlamini's bulletin, that ad hoc committee that has been set up to look into the allegations made by KZN Police Commissioner General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. The committee has today chosen its chairperson. That will be the ANC Member of Parliament, Soviet Lekhanyane, and he joins us now on 702 Drive. Mr. Lekhanyane, welcome, and thanks very much for giving us your time. I want to ask you this question, really. How do you see the committee getting to the bottom of the issues that need to be uncovered and laid bare, when it does seem that most of the people in the committee have, at least to some degree, the political agendas of their parties, their own sense of priorities? How are you going to make sure that the investigation hones in on the facts? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John, and your listeners. Look, our understanding is that all of us, irrespective of the fact that we are affiliated to political parties, we are members of Parliament of the Republic. We have been sworn in by the law of the Republic of South Africa. The committee met today, and we achieved a breakthrough. We have the terms of reference of the committee should be finalized by the end of this week, and the committee will meet again next week to adopt those terms of reference in legal aspects that have to be given consideration. You would know that in our work, somehow there is going to be an interplay with the rights of the citizens of this country, especially those who will be appearing before the committee. So it will be very important that the terms of reference, the program of the committee, including such legalities, are taken care of. Our greatest belief is that members of the committee are presenting themselves in that committee.
Yes.
And before the people of South Africa, as South Africans who want to be counted in the process to reignite public confidence in the institutions of government, including Parliament and other organs of state.
So Mr. Lekhanyane, there was debate in the committee today, questions asked about whether, given the fact that one of the people at the center of this is the on leave of absence Police Minister Senzo Mchunu, who is a member of your political party, the African National Congress, that you should not have availed yourself to take up the chairperson position. What's your response to that?
we are not in the committee to defend any South African, but very fundamentally, the allegations that have been made here have not been made against the African National Congress. The allegations have been made against institutions of state, in which institutions you will find that there is a minister appointed from the African National Congress, but there are also ordinary South Africans who work in those institutions. And I think let us save the name and the badge of the ANC from these allegations, because in the presentation that General Mkhwanazi has made, I personally, unless if I have weaknesses in memory, do not remember at any stage General Mkhwanazi mentioned National Congress. But above all, John, we are members of parliament. When we work in the name of parliament, we don't work in the name of the ANC or in the name of our parties. And the last point that here, it is up to me as a person. It's about my credibility. It's about my integrity. It's about the legacy that I want to leave in the office that I have an honor to serve now. If I have been given responsibility by South Africans and there are lapses on my part, I do not deserve to be part of the people representing South Africans in Parliament. And this is a message that we put across in our meeting to say, all of us here in this committee, can we please do our best to speak for the ordinary South Africans who may not have voices to speak for themselves?
Thank you very much. The line, not the very, very best, but I think we got enough there from Mulapi Soviet Tshwane, ANC Member of Parliament, who will be chairing that ad hoc committee. I must tell you, we always have a dilemma when lines are difficult. We have a guest who has a very, very tight schedule, and we have to try and weigh it up and say, okay, do we carry on? Do we cut them off and try and restore the line? But time was not our friend. I hope there was enough in there. I certainly heard plenty of interest. And we'll follow that story as it unfolds. 16 minutes past 5.
EWN Traffic.
This Eyewitness News Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance in partnership with 702. Brakpan is not a great place if you're in any kind of rush.
Yeah.
Karabo Chale has the reason.
Well, there's roadworks, John, in the Brakpan area. This is causing about a 20-minute delay on Elsburg Road between Carnival City and Heidelberg Road. There's also delays on the parallel route. That's the N17 eastbound from Rondebold all the way to Rangeview Road. Kempton Park, also traffic heavily backed up. This is towards OR Tambo International Airport. R21 southbound between the R25 Bopsfontein off-ramp and Pomona Road. Still in the Glen Austin Midrand area, bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on Allendale Road between the N1 and Zerfontein Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Clever late excuse number 79. You had to stop and help a turtle cross the road. Fortunately, with the Outsurance pointsmen on the roads, you no longer have to come up with creative excuses for being late. The Outsurance pointsmen, easing traffic congestion and getting you there quickly and safely since 2005. Outsurance really means it when they say you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, show them some love online using hashtag pointsmenlove. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Yeah, it's a very interesting issue that this committee actually faces in terms of what the standards are going to be, because there are people from different political parties. And I mean, I think it's a fair point to also make that there are that Senzo Mchunu is from the African National Congress. But equally, you could say, well, the MK party, by going to court around some of the issues here, have also put their flag in the ground on their issues. I'm going to watch this with a great deal of interest because I think the chairperson has a role to play, but I don't know if they have anything like a casting vote. In fact, I'm absolutely sure they don't. My understanding is the key thing they'll do is decide who gets to speak when there are lots of hands up and so on. We'll follow it closely indeed. 18 minutes past 5.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Right, let's get forward and pick up on a story that I said we were going to be doing a little bit later. Peter Coetzee has had an absolutely remarkable time at the World Swimming Championships out in Singapore. The backstroke swimmer took part in 3 events, picked up silver in the 200 meters and the 50, and won gold in the 100. In all of those events, he was extremely competitive. He at times was swimming under world record pace, and he was out and up against some of the very best swimmers in the world. But let's find out a little bit more about, well, where did all of the swimming excellence come from? Khalid Reiloun is the founder of the Otters Swim School in Rustenburg, and he coached Peter from the time when he was 13 years old, worked with him for 3 or 4 years after they began forging their partnership. Khalid, welcome, and I have to say many congratulations. I know Peter is now 21, but you must have been doing something right, to put it mildly, in those earlier years. What did you make of Peter when you first saw him as somebody who came to your swim school?
Good day. So thank you for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to speak about Peter. I must say I took over the club in 2018 from the previous owner, and Peter was already, I can say, a star in his age at the time. I remember when Peter told me, I'm the best in my age group. Why haven't I been chosen for an SA team? And I explained to him, SA teams are normally group ages, and you got to beat the top guy in the previous age, to be in the team. So and then we decided, okay, let's make a plan and say, okay, listen, let's try and get the top kids, And then from there he started growing. All right, program was going well, and then he came back to me all of a sudden and said, Coach, do you think I'll be able to do or make the Olympics? And I told him, to make the Olympics, that's not a problem. It's commitment.
Yes, yes.
Are you committed? Do you really want to do it? All right. And of course, I had to have the backing of the parents because it's going to be a challenge, with school and everything else. So, and he says, Coach, I want the Olympics. I said, okay, fine. All right. So, and then we started working towards his Olympic dream.
Yeah, it's a wonderful sort of moment, I would think, where a young person comes to Khalid and says, okay, I want to do this. And then you set down some ideas for them about what it is you have to do. What determines, though, why one young swimmer makes it and another doesn't?
Self-preservation. He's got to be determined. It's got to come from him himself.
Yes.
If a swimmer or sports person doesn't have the heart to do it but want to do it, it's hard to get to something that you're not 100% in it. It's like he gives 100%, I give him 100%. That makes a great partnership. So we understand, we trust each other, and we're going forward.
What is it like for you? I'm fast forwarding a bit. I'm going to come back to some aspects of the development of Peter Coetzee. But what was it like watching him race in Singapore? Were you out of your seat, or have you learned to be calm for many years now?
Every time Peter races since his first competition internationally in 2019, when he was at World Cup, the World Junior Championships.
Right.
I get goosebumps.
Yes.
Because when Peter races, it's like I never had expectations with him because he always go far and beyond the expectation of everything that I do. He always proves me that he can do better. And like now when we're in Singapore, I've got goosebumps. Every time he races, when he starts, I get anxious. I'm like, okay, is everything all right? Is his mental state good? Is he on the right path? And I think all about this, even though he's not with me now, he's with a coach Rocco, I still, I root for him all the time.
I want to go back then. I mean, backstroke, look, I found all swimming difficult, so maybe what I'm about to say doesn't make much sense. I was never much good at it. But I suppose in all four strokes, technique is critical. When you had him as a young swimmer, how do you get the balance between saying, you got to train hard, we want you to be fast, but I'm going to spend some time maybe changing something in your technique? Because I would imagine that could frustrate a young swimmer who will say, well, I'm now going slower, even if you know that investment in improving technique is ultimately going to pay dividends. I would assume it doesn't immediately.
Yeah. See, when we change technique, it comes from, you have to be able to do it to make the kid faster.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So it's not necessarily where you're changing it to make him worse. Sometimes with technique, you got to start slower to get faster again.
Yes.
But with Kira, it was like a natural thing. If I had to ask him to do something, he would adjust it, and then he'll automatically get it. And it's not just backstroke. He's phenomenal in all strokes. And backstroke is just his better part of all the four strokes.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Khalid, your love of swimming and your obvious ability as a coach. A little bit about what got you into the sport.
So I was into the sport because of my parents and my grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a very hyperactive kid. So my grandfather took me to a club in Cape Town, Barberton, called Mantis Swimming Club. And then my swimming started. The competition started as an amateur swimmer. And then I went into provincial swimming after that. We moved around a lot. And then I moved to a club in Strand, Cape Town, also. And then I joined up Strand Aquatics, which is now Marty's. And then I grew up there, and my swimming career just took off like zooming from there onwards. I made several SA teams as I grew through the swimming, and then I ended up with Vineyards as my senior club.
Right.
And then my swimming career took off even better from there until, my coach decided, listen, and we spoke about it, said, listen, he asked me, listen, why don't you coach for me? You got the insights, you know exactly what to do. And then I got mentored by him. And then I just loved coaching. I enjoyed coaching from there.
Yeah, and clearly you've done really well with it. I suppose a final question, youngster moving through the teen years, there is an opportunity to play sports that are much more sociable, consume less of your time. The kind of single-mindedness that, because even if you are part of a swimming team, as you're going up and down the lanes, you're very much on your own. The mental strength that Peter would have had to start developing at that young age of 13. How did you go about that? And what are the hurdles, I suppose, that a young person has to overcome?
You see, that's the one thing that I like about Peter is that he overcomes these hurdles himself. He's determined himself. He's self-determined to prove himself to be better than the next one. And I didn't really have to work much on the mental because he was strong already. He's a fighter. He hates to lose, to put it that way. And if he loses, he gets back up again. He does it again and again and again. And that's the one thing I like about him. He's never negative about himself. He's always positive that the next race, focus on the next one, and that's the one thing that actually bringing him this far now is that resilience to actually push harder every time he races, get better every time, and that's what's making him such a superstar right now.
Khalid Raylund, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the work you've done and the part you've played in producing South Africa's next swimming superstar. I don't know if next is appropriate because Peter Coetzee has been impressing and winning things for a while. But I guess with Tatiana Smith retiring, we're looking for the next person to shoot the pool lights out. And I think 2 silvers and a gold would certainly qualify as just that. Khalid Raylund, currently the founder of the Otters Rustenburg Swim School. And he was Peter Coetzee's coach from the age of 13. Maybe you swam against him, came across him, or Maybe you're part of the swimming circuit in South Africa. Peter could see a story if you have one. I'd love to hear it. 072 702 1702. 28 minutes past 5.
EWN Business.
Don't know if the markets are swimming or sinking today. Certainly not sinking.
No, I was going to say, if you asked me if I'd ever raced him against him, I would say no, I sank against him, but that was it. So no, the market's turning positive so far and heading sort of back towards that 100,000 mark for the JSE All Share. 0.36% at 99,674 points. John, financials down 1.37, industrials up 0.16, and resources up 3.12. A higher gold price pushing gold shares higher again on the day. The story of the day probably around Telkom, down nearly 10% on the day. The company did report its mobile service revenue was up nicely, also its fiber-based services, but its BCX subsidiary battling their revenue down by over 8%. I expect this might bounce a little bit tomorrow, but as I keep saying, if you've got a little bit of bad news, suddenly you are going to get hammered for it, and I think this is an example of that. There's a lot going on in the telecoms industry as well. Nedbank down nearly 5.5% on the day. They've decided to sell their 21% stake in EcoBank. They want to concentrate more on Southern Africa, also talking about the difficulties in our economy. You'll speak to their CEO, Jason Quinn, on The Money Show this evening. The other story of the day, I would suggest, is what's going on around supermarket shares. You know, I suppose we really count them by motorbikes now, though, don't we, John? ShopRite shares, they dropped today, down by around 0.37% last time I checked. It does expect its headline earnings to be up by over 20% for the year ending at the end of June. Now, you would think anyone who gets a 20% increase in earnings is doing very well, and they are. But their shares are also quite highly priced, considering, if you look at the multiples, their turnover was up by 10% in South Africa. The number I'm always interested in, what's your in-store inflation? So their internal inflation, 1.9% in the first half of the year, rose to 2.7% in the second half. So in other words, to the end of June. Meanwhile, Pick n Pay says its internal inflation for the 17 weeks to the end of June, so roughly the same period, was 1.8%. In other words, it's lower than ShopRite's figure. It's slightly surprising if you look at the scale and what Pick n Pay is trying to do, but still very, very interesting. Also, for both of them, their online sales growth just sort of skyrocketing still. Gold shares up very strongly. Anglo Gold, Goldfields, DRD Gold, etc., all up by well over 3%. In fact, Anglo Gold up by 6% and AB InBev up by 3%. Pick n Pay, after all of that, up 2.23%. In the US, markets opened positive, but they've turned disappointing trade data. I think we might need to get used to that. Coming through today, the Dow Jones is down 0.34%. The Nasdaq is down 0.35%. The S&P 500 is down 0.4% on the day so far. The gold price, $3,386.40. Platinum, $1,317.33 an ounce. Brent crude, $67.77 a barrel. And then the rand to the dollar, 17.92 to the euro, 20.75 to the British pound, 23.84. On the Money Show tonight, yes, Jason Quinn from Nedbank. We'll also talk about the ShopRite and Pick n Pay issue. I find that fascinating. We'll speak to the CEO of the JSE, Leila Fourie, as well tonight. And then interest rates and you, Warren Ingram from 7:30. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. The Money Show between 6 and 8. It is now 28 minutes to 6. Politics around the GNU. Anyone else going to join? Let's find out. Mbali Dlamini, good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Well, Action SA says the ANC should not waste its time by approaching it to join the GNU if it's not prepared to cut down the bloated size of cabinet. The ANC's National Executive Committee has resolved to expand the size of the GNU and begin the process of speaking to other parties. Action SA, which worked briefly with the ANC during the national budget process, says it can only join the GNU under strict conditions. Party President Herman Mashaba says Action SA has already refused one approach by the ANC to join the GNU.
There's no point. You've got over 70% parliament support. You want to neutralize us from being an effective opposition. We will never allow anyone to take that right from us to hold the GNU accountable. We will, however, talk to the ANC in the event that the GNU collapses and it leaves the country in a vulnerable position.
Mashaba says the party has no intention of joining the current configuration of the GNU.
Action SA will not participate in this bloated government. So if ANC is not prepared to substantially reduce the size of the cabinet, I would really urge, and I'm requesting them with due respect, please don't waste your time to come and talk to Action SA.
In the courts now, the man believed to be the potential buyer of a stolen 7 million rand transformer collapsed in court today after being denied bail for a second time. Court officials had to call an ambulance to attend to the man who started hyperventilating after learning his fate. Katlego Molepe and 4 Tshwane municipal officials have been charged in connection with the theft of a transformer from a power station in Laudium. Jabulile Mbata reports.
Magistrate Anita Johnson denied the media permission to broadcast proceedings. Today, Katlego Molepe's new attorney, Kenil Matre, argued that his client did not know the transformer was stolen. He also argued that the sale of the transformer happened at an auction in the presence of city employees, which made it seem legitimate. The state argued that the facts presented by the accused are not new, and therefore they opposed bail, adding that the accused has a previous conviction. Katlego Molepe fell to the ground, weeping and shaking as the magistrates announced the decision. Family members from the gallery rushed to him, removing his jacket and assisting him with breathing exercises while officials call for medical assistance. Jabulile Mbata, Eyewitness News, Adjuttville Magistrates Court in Pretoria.
And Rwanda will accept up to 250 migrants from the United States. Washington has been pushing a deportation drive, with President Donald Trump's administration negotiating controversial arrangements to send people to third world countries, amongst them South Sudan and Eswatini. It follows a cancelled agreement with Britain, under which Kigali would have received deported illegal migrants from the UK after the British administration that negotiated the deal lost the 2024 national election. A partly cloudy Wednesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, lows of between 3 and 7 degrees and highs of between 20 and 23.
City of Tshwane, there's traffic pressure in Equestria. This is on Linwood Road between Simon Vermeulen and Solomon Mahlangu due to an earlier accident. Vonderboom, we still have slow-moving traffic on Steve Biko between Fred Nicholson and Vonderboom Hoërskool, and in Brakpan roadworks causing more than a 20-minute delay on Elsburg Road between Carnival City and Heidelberg Road.
The top story in EWN, Action SA says the ANC should not waste its time by approaching it to join the GNU if it's not prepared to cut down the bloated size of cabinet.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
As things stands now, Mayor, out of 10, how do you rate the improvement now in service delivery?
In terms of issue, and I don't want to exaggerate this, I can say that we are now sitting at 4. And then in terms of waste collection, that's where our challenge is. We can give ourselves 1. In terms of roads, I can give the municipality 2 to 3%.
So in a nutshell, yes, there is improvement, but there's still a general failure at the end of the day.
You know, Clement, for you to improve first, you need to start from the beginning. And the beginning is where we are saying that we do acknowledge these failures and we don't want to hide them.
Sipho Khadebe, who's the executive mayor of Mfuleni local municipality.
Clement Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Don't miss out on the Powerball jackpot, estimated at a mind-blowing 124 million rand this Tuesday. Dare to dream big by playing Powerball now for the estimated 124 million rand jackpot and your chance at multi-millions. Buy your tickets now, in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529 hash for USSD. Panda Pusher Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Do not be fooled. Smoking kills. Across the globe, more than 8 million people die of tobacco-related diseases every year. During the broadcast of this radio advert, which is only 60 seconds, 16 people would have died from tobacco. Quit smoking and vaping. If you cannot resist this lethal habit, please protect non-smokers and children. Do not smoke or vape in public places or near children. Inhaling any tobacco product, whether through smoking or vaping, can cause cancer, birth defects, heart, lung, and oral diseases. All tobacco and related products are harmful to your health. This message is brought to you by the National Department of Health.
Welcome to the brand new days. Sail the world with Norwegian Cruise Line, with more to see, more to do, and more to enjoy. Plus, upgrade your holiday with NCL's More at Sea for premium beverages, specialty dining, and much more. Think international cruising. Think NCL. For the best deals available, visit ncl.com or contact your travel agent. Restrictions apply. Welcome to the brand new days.
You work hard, you save what you can, but will it be enough for your retirement? For most South Africans, the answer is no. This Thursday on 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa, Old Mutual Corporate brings you a powerful conversation inspired by their upcoming Thought Leaders Forum, tackling the retirement crisis and the urgent need for collaborative leadership. We'll discuss how business and policymakers can join forces to change the country's retirement future. Don't miss insightful conversation, Thursday, 7 August, brought to you by Old Mutual Corporate on 702.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, John and team. So quite frankly, I think it's a complete joke that an ANC member has been elected to run this commission to investigate these accusations for the police minister, who is an ANC member, by the way. He's not just any person, he's an ANC member. It's a complete joke that the ANC have elected the ANC to investigate the ANC. It's a complete joke, John. I think it's a joke, and I think it should be stopped. There needs to be a private company or private person completely away from Parliament that would investigate this type of thing. How is it that they can allow that, John? The ANC have selected an ANC member to investigate the ANC. It's a crisis waiting to happen. George from Ford.
Hi, John. It's quite crazy at the petrol filling stations at the moment. I don't know what the Gauteng motorists been smoking, but it's definitely not wise to be filling up at this time. Kindly remind them that it would be worth a while to fill up tomorrow, since the fuel will be a few cents cheaper. I don't think they pay attention to the increase part. They just paid attention to changes in fuel prices. Tell them to come back tomorrow, rather. I mean, they'll save a few rands.
Yeah, thanks for those. So, yeah, just to remind you, it's diesel that is going up. It is ordinary petrol that is coming down. Good advice there. Just on the thing about the ANC electing an ANC member to investigate an ANC minister, it's not quite accurate. There's no way in which Mulapi Likhanyane could have been chosen, because the ANC doesn't have a majority in Parliament anymore and therefore would not have a majority in a commission. That would have been true prior to the last general election, but the election would not have been possible without other parties taking part. I think we need to see how this happens. There's never going to be a private company, I'm not sure how that would work in the first place, investigating something like this. It's a matter of Parliament. There could have been in the other Judicial Commission of Inquiry created by the President, there were options of taking this out of a system of government. In the end, the President opted for a judge, but a parliamentary commission is always going to be made up of members of Parliament. But again, just to reiterate the numbers, the ANC doesn't have the numbers to on its own choose somebody. They'd have to get support from somebody else. 18 minutes to 6.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele Mganga, very good afternoon to you. Football, the season about to begin.
Absolutely, John. And Suwelele FC owner Calvin Lejon insists the club will be run in a sustainable way as they look to avoid the same fate as Royal AM. The side will compete in the Bedway Premiership this season following the status purchase of SuperSport United. The PSL has now ratified that deal and they'll kick off their 2025-26 campaign against Lamanville Golden Arrows on Saturday.
As much as this is a passion project for my family and I, we're going to run this club in a sustainable way. It needs to wash its own hands. I'm sure we'll put in $1 million there to fund the club, but the club does have sponsors. The club is healthy. It is SuperSport United, after all, one of the best administratively run teams. In the deal, we asked that Stan Matthews come along because he's incredible.
Lejon is the son of Sports Minister Gayton McKenzie, but he insists no public funds were used to buy Suwelele's way into the top flight.
I don't have 50 million just lying around. I sold our properties in the coast. I sold some properties in Sandton to fund the project, being SuperSport United, the purchase price. And then to fund the liquidity of the team, I sold some shares to a consortium of one of our diamond mines in the Northwest for the sum of 90 million rand. And that's how everything has been happening. I saw a rumor that I got a tender of 70 million somewhere on Twitter, and that's a blatant lie.
Australian rugby bosses have given Joe Schmidt carte blanche to select overseas-based players going forward. That's after scrapping the controversial Gito law. The director of rugby performance, Peter Horn, says the policy had become redundant. That's amid a struggle for depth and consistency in recent years. The law initially required a minimum of 60 tests for Australia and 7 years in Super Rugby to be considered for selection, before it was then lowered to 30 tests and 5 years. And in the Currie Cup, the table-topping Bulls take on the Pumas on Saturday, looking to make it 3 wins from 3. The side are now favourites to win this competition, but assistant coach Kennedy Zimba says they cannot get caught up in other people's expectations.
That's one of the main areas that we've tried to focus on. Letting the guys know that we're going to take it game for game. Yes, and it does happen that sometimes you might not get things going all your way, and that's where the confidence in understanding each other and also understanding that it's a tough competition, that you will tend to run into scenarios where things aren't going your way, and it's about who can adapt to come through such situations.
Tolakele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Okay, let's find out what's happening out in the traffic. This Eyewitness News Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance in partnership with 702. Here's Karabo Chale.
Well, John, at this stage in the city of Tshwane, traffic pressure in Equestria on Linwood Road between Simon Vermeulen and Solomon Mahlangu due to an earlier accident. There's also delays on Solomon Mahlangu between Linwood and the N4. Vonderboom, traffic remains sluggish on Steve Biko between Fred Nicholson and Vonderboom Hoër School. Hermanstad leaving the Pretoria CBD. There's bumper-to-bumper traffic on Eskiam Pahlele between Van der Hof and Paul Kruger. Brakpan roadwork still causing about a 20-minute delay on Elsburg Road between Carnival City and Heidelberg Road. Also delays on the N17 eastbound between Rondebold and Rangeview Road, Kempton Park. There's heavy delays on the R21 southbound between the R25 Bufffontein off-ramp and Pomona Road. And finally, in Glen Austin Midrand, expect heavy delays on Allendale Road between the N1 and Zierfontein Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702, and we are also on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. Like a businesswoman on the way to the airport after sleeping through her alarm. Bags in the back, boarding pass on the dashboard. She prays she'll make her flight. Hope I make it. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic. It's the potential closing of a big deal. Every story is different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005. In proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
13 to 6. Quick couple of things to tidy up in talking about Peter Coetzee and his successes at the World Swimming Championships. I did omit to mention the other medal for South Africa, bronze in the 200 meters breaststroke. Kayleen Corbett, wonderful achievement for her first World Championship medal. Just quickly, the numbers on that ad hoc committee illustrating the point I think I was trying to make. The committee has 5 members of the ANC, 4 members of the DA. Umkhonto Wesizwe has 3. The EFF has 2, 1 each for the IFP, the Patriotic Alliance, the Freedom Front Plus, and Action SA. So 18 members of the committee at all, 5 people, I think it's fairly clear, not in a position to do anything on their own on that committee. 12 minutes to 6.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
So we're going to talk about music this time, and it's a very interesting thing. Jonathan Fairbairn, Kabazelo, welcome back into the studio, obviously producing the show alongside Ntsikelelo Ndileka today. We were talking about musicians, bands, call them what you want, singers that you absolutely love, but then they do what?
Yeah, so what we're looking for would probably be your favorite artist or band, but your least favorite song that they have produced. Because, I mean, not all songs that your favorite band or artist releases is a hit or, goes to number 1 on the Billboard charts.
Or goes straight to your heart.
Yeah, and say out of 12 songs that they can release on an album, maybe 6 are great, and then maybe 3 are average, and the rest are like, why'd you even put those on the album? They're not great songs. Is it just because you need to have so many songs on an album, I wonder sometimes?
Not anymore, I don't think.
Yeah,
it's not a physical thing. But let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Are you talking about a song that, not as good as the greatest, or are you talking about one that you say, oh man, I really don't like this, got to skip it?
Yeah, it could be both. It could be both.
Yes.
So like my favorite band, or one of my favorite bands, is the Killers.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got a whole string of really good songs and good hits, and they released this song in 2012 called Runaways. Now it's a nice song, but it doesn't hit me as hard as some of the other Killers songs do. So let's take a listen to Runaways by the Killers. Maybe you're a Killers fan and you may disagree.
Blonde hair blowing in the summer wind, a blue-eyed girl playing in the sand. I'd been on a trail for a little while, but that was the night that she broke down and held my hand. A teenage rush, she said, ain't we all just runaways? We got time, but that ain't much. We can't wait.
Normally I say we got to get a lot better, but we really, Kabazela, got to get a lot worse. This is not a bad song.
I mean, like I said, it's not a terrible song, but I had to try and find something from the Killers to pick. So that just tells you a lot what kind of a band they are.
So I think what's going to happen is we're going to ask you, please, to tell us your favorite musician, artist, band, whatever it is, a song that they've done that just falls way, way short. But I'm very interested, is there one that you actually dislike, that you got to skip? I cannot believe this is my guy or my guys or my favorite woman singer, whatever it is. Drop those off to us, please, on 072 702 1702. In my view, we have not set the bar nearly low enough, so perhaps you can help. Yep, we're going to do it. 7 minutes at least of music that you really don't like. It's 8 minutes to 6.
Get the stars and confess our dreams. Hold each other till the morning.
Before the president has his national dialogue,
The people will have theirs.
this Wednesday, join Clement Maniatela for the People's Dialogue.
On 702.
The questions won't be scripted, the truths won't be polished.
But the voices will be heard.
Dear Mr. President,
Lend us your ears.
because before policies, there are people.
And before power, there is accountability.
The People's Dialogue with Clement Maniatela.
You've watched, you've waited.
Now you speak.
To the country, to the president,
to each other.
Wednesday, 6 August.
From 9 to 12, only on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
When you empower a woman, you empower a whole nation. Women have a remarkable way of multiplying whatever is placed in their hands. This August, we're celebrating Women's Month with the theme Building Resilient Economies for All. We reflect and honor the courageous women of 1956 who took a stand against the injustices of the past. We also recognize and celebrate all South African women who continue to lead, build, and inspire across every part of our society, from business and education to peace building and beyond. Yes, there is still much to be done. The pursuit to achieving total gender equality and empowerment will continue until every woman is able to enjoy the benefits of a safe and just society. #Rekaufela Basadi. #Women's Month 2025. A message by the National Department of Sport, Arts and Culture.
Dear Journal, day 4602 of trying to be an adult. My doctor asked me how my quality of rest is at the moment. I told him I have two problems. I struggle to sleep at night, but I also struggle to awake at day.
Aggressively realizing your age and get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's simple and like 19 Rand a day, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
The blockbuster main attraction at UFC 319 in Chicago on the 17th of August sees Dricus du Plessis take on Russia's Khamzat Chimaev. Will the South African fighter become a legend and defend his middleweight title for the third time while handing the challenger his first ever defeat? Catch all the thrilling action and be in it to win it. Bet 40 Rand or more on any UFC fight between 1 July and 17 August and stand a chance to win your share of 100,000 Rand in cash and prizes.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
702. WhatsApp John.
On 072
702
1702.
In an album, John, there's a song for everyone because people prefer different taste of music. So yeah, that's my view. So there's no good or bad song actually in the album. There could be a good songs for some and bad song for some, but overall, everyone would have their taste in that album.
Yeah, I think that I wonder if these things matter as much as they used to, because people used to access albums. When I was growing up, you'd get a vinyl LP, and then there were CDs, and you got all of it at once. You got whether you wanted the songs or not. Now in the days of streaming and downloading and Spotify, and there are probably various others as well, you can actually pick and choose. Has that made the enjoyment of music better? Has it enriched it? Or do you find, because you're out there cherry picking the songs you want, that maybe there's a sleeper in that person's work that you might not actually listen to or give a proper chance to? I have to say, in the days of vinyl and CDs, if there was something I didn't like, I just skipped it. Never really got into it. But then, there's always someone who comes along and says, hey, listen, no, you got to listen to track 4. That's really, really good. And you do pick up something you might not have heard.
Ntate John, regarding your topic, my favorite artist, it's a guy called Colbert Mukwebo. He did have a collaboration with the late Brenda Fassie. You can Google him, but I don't think you've got his music in the studio. If you do, please play me Month End, a song called Month End Lover. Month End Lover. Thank you, Baba John.
I miss you. Do you ever miss me? Oh yes, I miss you. Do you ever miss me? I don't think so. Oh, no. All along I don't see you. You are with those guys that can play Fortnite. All along I don't see you. Baby, you're too much unreliable. All of my love don't satisfy you. Cause all you're after is money. All of my love don't satisfy you, baby. Cause all you're after is money. All along I know.
Colbert Mukwevo, we've been asking you about songs you do not like by artists that you really do like, but that's somebody who clearly likes everything that Dr. Mukwevo has done. Robert McClellan presumably likes Kate Bush, but says, great example of rubbish song, Kate Bush, Washing Machine. I don't think I know that one. Anyone want to send me a voice note attempting their very best Kate Bush? I see Stephen Curtis is in the studio. He's not offering.
Strangely, no.
Okay, right. Now, Jonathan Fairburn, this comes from Clive, who says, I don't know the Killers, but in reference to Jonathan's presenting of a song that he really doesn't like by the Killers, he says, I don't know the Killers, but play us the one you do like. The one you don't like was not bad. Jonathan has picked this by the Killers, Mr. Brightside.
Coming out of my cage and I've been doing just fine. Gotta be down because I want it all. It started out with a kiss, how did it end up like this? It was only a kiss, it was only a kiss. Now I'm falling asleep and she's calling a cab while he's having a smoke and she's taking a drag. Now they're going to bed and my stomach is sick and it's all in my head, but she's touching his chest. Now he takes off her dress.
The sound of the Killers. Clive, I don't know. What do you think? Maybe the first one was better. Anyway, it's been fun having you with us on 702 Drive. From me, John Perlman, and the rest of the team. A great Tuesday to you all. Good night.
And now, The Money Show.
With Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA Corporate and Investment Banking. ABSA is a proud lead sponsor of B20 South Africa 2025. Good evening. On your Money Show tonight, Nedbank CEO Jason Quinn on their decision to sell their EcoBank stake and why they're predicting interest rates will remain stable. Pan-African Resources on its battle with illegal miners. The JSE CEO Leila Fourie on their results, and Mantengu Mining's claims their shares are being manipulated. The latest on the prime capital bid for MAS, and from 7:30 tonight, how interest rates will affect your long-term portfolio. All of that to